All right, everybody, welcome to Food Sports Live. You're watching Food Sports Live. It is March 20th. It's a very, I guess, a special edition of Real Food TV. Just kidding. It's kind of not. It's just another episode, but it's a very special day. It's warm, people. It's spring. It's effing spring. All right. It is effing spring. We're going to be talking about a couple of different topics. We got we're coming off of that amazing fight there on Saturday. We had Berlanga going against himself. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Looper, but that's what that looked like to me. I'm going to refresh your memory if you have never seen Looper, and that doesn't make any sense. If you saw it, then I'm refreshing it. If you've never seen Looper, it looked to me this Saturday like Berlanga was fighting himself. It's like Berlanga was sent there to kill his future self. That's what it was. But in reality, it really was just a cherry pick. We got El Barbarino in the comments, but El Barbarino sends a kissy face. All right, what's up, Bob? We got Bob in there. All right. If you guys watched this card, it was on Saturday, not this weekend, last weekend. It just showed more of what we've been saying forever. I mean, just a bunch of bullshit fights, people. No one's satisfied by that. I mean, look, you see Matt Damon there on the poster, people? Like, let me zoom into Matt Damon over here. I got to zoom into the Damon. All right. You see right here, the trash fight, Canelo Alvarez fighting Scold. I reimagine that poster because in reality, that's where Canelo belongs. He belongs on being the third to the last fight of the card, because that fight is absolute garbage. And it really just shows, and by garbage I mean trash. That fight just shows what me and Bob have been talking about for a while. That boxing is just a mess of cherry picks. It's a bunch of cherry picks for these fucking cherry picking bums. This guy should not be a headliner. He doesn't have headliner fights. All right, so we got Matt Damon over here. He represents I guess, just the people that are okay with eating shit and saying it tastes delicious. It's like a vanilla cake. Dana bad, boxing perfect. Yeah. If it wasn't for Turkey, people, boxing would be on its way out. And I think if Dana and Turkey doesn't fix this shit up, we might as well not have boxing anymore because it's terrible. I mean, because look at this fight. This is for sure breaking the Ali Act. What you have here is you have a promoter, Eddie Hearns, building a little cherry pick for Berlanga here. But I mean, that doesn't make any sense that he would give him a cherry pick. I mean, didn't this guy just fight supposedly the best guy at 168? So if he's fighting the best guy at 168, then why the hell is he going down and fighting? I mean, so he lost against Canelo, right? He won a 12-round fight with Canelo. Went the distance. I think he could have done a lot better, but he didn't try very hard. Very odd. But that's another subject for a different day. He went 12 rounds with the supposed champion. So if you're going to go 12 rounds with Super Beast Canelo, supposedly Super Beast, how is it that you get your next fight, you fight a guy that's not even ranked, a guy that's nobody. Like, no one knows who this guy is. This guy to Vito Ligo got man over here. Look at him in that picture. He looks like he's like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, this doesn't make any sense. I haven't done anything. Obviously, Berlanga isn't exactly the best fighter, but he's a young. I don't know if he's hungry. I mean, look at the way he fought Canelo. That didn't seem like a very hungry fighter. But you see Eddie Hearn over there laughing and smiling, right? But like I'm saying, look, the sport makes no fucking sense. How do you go from fighting the supposed top guy to fighting no one? You're fighting a nobody. Not to be mean, but look, that's a huge step down, right? And so, look, what they said, I heard after this fight, is this supposed to build up into a Caleb Plant fight. But what the hell has Caleb Plant done? When was the last time we saw Caleb Plant in the ring? He fought another bum. So what's going on with the sport? This is what me and Bob, we've been calling, and many people have been calling for an actual real sport. Because this shit doesn't look like a real sport. This is just set up bullshit for the promoter. They build up these guys that are anointed. Basically, this guy was anointed. He didn't build himself up to being a top fighter, right? Kind of didn't. Especially not at 168. And so now he's bouncing all over the place. Canelo just picks him out of a hat, basically. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to fight this guy. Why? Because he cherry picks. That's what they do. They all cherry pick. That's what boxing is nowadays. So Berlanga goes over here. He fights the supposed best guy, right? Goes the distance. Well, so why isn't he fighting the number 1 contender or number 2 guy or number 3 or number 4 or 5 guy? Nah, he's going to fight a guy who's not even ranked. And then some supposed fans will say that this is a tune-up. But how could this be a tune-up when this guy... I mean, what does he even need a tune-up for? For what? So then he can go fight Plant, right? Basically, this fight is set up to make Berlanga look good. That's all it does. And it insults the intelligence of anyone who's an actual fan of the sport. Because how are we entertained by this? This wasn't a contest. This guy was here as a sacrifice. He's what they call a no-hoper. He was there to just fucking lose. And I don't think any real fan is satisfied by that. Like, watching a no-hoper get in the ring versus a supposed top fighter does not make me want to watch that fight. That's why I didn't care much when I missed it. I watched it after it already happened, but it doesn't really, it means nothing to the sport. And how is this a tune-up when this guy had no problem putting this guy away? You know what a tune-up is? A tune-up is having an actual real ranked fight, right? You know, but truly a tune-up is what you do in the gym, not what you do in the ring. What you do in the ring is supposed to be ranked. And this is yet another reason why this sport needs to be retooled. Because you see a guy like this, Eddie Hearn in the back, he's just trying to build up his fighter to build up a payday, right? That's all it is. He's trying to make him look good. But in my eyes and any fan's eyes, any other fan, this didn't make Berlanga look good. This fight meant nothing. This is a meaningless nothing fight. And it's a waste of everyone's time, really. Anyone who actually is a fan of the sport. But if you know, you got a bunch of like guys who like guys, a bunch of guys that, you know, they're into dudes. So they like to watch Berlanga beat up on a man who is completely outmatched. In many ways, maybe the guy wasn't even there to win. Because he didn't try. I mean, he basically was lined up and just went down. It was garbage. But, and then we got up here. I got to show you this for a second. You got Canelo Alvarez, the cherry picker. Canelo signs a $400 million deal. For Riyadh season, Alvarez set for multiple fights in Saudi Arabia, starting with Skull in 2025. That's people. That guy ain't nothing. He's another cherry pick. And then so we got criticism from Jake Paul as if that means something. Jake Paul is the guy who is actually calling out Tank Davis, a 135-pounder. You got Jake Paul, a heavyweight, calling out a 135-pounder. I think if they wanted to save the legitimacy of boxing, they would have it where it's illegal for guys like Jake Paul to have fights within boxing, because it's a joke. It's not helping the sport. The guy is simply picking out much smaller targets. And anytime he gets in there with an actual real boxer, and it's always going to be a much smaller guy, it makes the sport look bad. It doesn't make it look good. So, and I'm pretty sure you're going to see Canelo at some point try to fight Jake Paul, because it's all about the money. All right, so he's talking about he wants to showcase his focus, or Canelo's focus is on, because it's written really weird, Canelo's focus is on legacy and high caliber opponents. That's not true at all, people. Because Canelo's about to fight Skull. Skull, a guy who's a nobody. That's another no-hoper. They gave him a no-hoper. And then when I heard after Skull, he's going to fight a 147-pounder. Now, people can say Crawford is 154, but he really isn't. The guy is almost 40. He spent a good chunk of his career at 147. That's where his best wins are, which are, if you say by best, I mean not so great, but better than the other divisions, I guess. He did fight, more cherry picks. Crawford is a cherry picker. He fights fighters at the end of their career when they're weakened and so on. So Canelo is about to cherry pick a welterweight. I don't give a fuck if people say he fought at 154. Yes, he fought at 154, and he looked like garbage. So Canelo's going to move. He's getting $400 million. This is what we were saying in the other video. These motherfuckers get paid too much. No fighter should be making $400 million. I'm very disappointed in Turkey that he would even allow this. You guys got to start putting their foot down. This shit's got to end. It's got to end, people. You got guys cherry picking. This guy, look, this guy has there's nothing there. So there's nothing there. What Canelo's doing is only going to bring in fanboys. Real fans are not going to be spending these bloated... they're not going to be spending money to watch these trash cards. They're not. Because you see this card over here? I showed you a second. Give me a second. I'm going to zoom back in one last time. You see over here, I put him, like I said, I put him at number 3 because that Munguia fight is more meaningful than the Skull fight. But people will say, oh, wait, that's a title fight, that Canelo fight. Yeah, paper title. That's all that is. All that is one of the worst level contenders having a belt. There were better guys at 167 that 168 that Canelo could have fought. There's way better guys. Why did you choose Skull? They'll say, oh, because you wanted that title. Dude, that title, that vacant title, the only reason that shit was probably gone and then put in with this bullshit garbage fight was just so they could sell it back to Canelo. That's all it was. So he can have a little bullshit fight. So what the sanctioning bodies do, the corrupt sanctioning bodies, is like I said, they strip him and then people are like, oh my God, they stripped Canelo's belt. Why did you do that? They did that so they can have a contest between two bums. And then a bum wins the belt, and then Canelo can go take it. After he wins it, they'll say, oh, he's undisputed twice at 168. His legacy's even stronger. But the reality is that Canelo is ducking all the actual top contenders of his division, top guys that might actually give him problems. And instead of that, he's going to go and he's going to fight a paper champion. Right? That's what he's going to do. Fight it. And no one cares to watch that. Any real fan of boxing ain't going to give a fuck about that. Right? Because it means nothing. All right? In a little while, we're going to look at the rankings, and I'll tell you, there are some better fighters at 168 that Canelo could fight. But he chose to fight a bum, and he wants $400 million. But once again, so he's going to fight a bum named Skull, and then he's going to fight a 147-pounder, and then I heard he's going to fight Eubanks, a 160-pounder. But I don't understand. Like, look, this is why I'm hoping that Dana White comes in here and Turkey and they all clear this shit up. Because this is already enough, people. This sport is a fucking joke. It really is. It's been a joke for a long time. Even though I do love boxing, it's my favorite sport. Next to MMA. I mean, MMA in a lot of ways has been doing way better than boxing. And it hasn't changed that much with boxing. I mean, Turkey has done a little better. I mean, look, you look at this card, it is decent. It's nothing great, but the problem is that he pays Canelo so much that there's only so far he can go when it comes to giving these guys these giant bloated paydays. I mean, this guy Canelo, people, he's making $400 million. He's basically taking all the money from all the other fighters. How are you supposed to have a stacked card when you're paying a guy that much money? You can't. It's non-sustainable. We've been saying it over and over again. It's not sustainable. You cannot give fighters $400 million and expect all the other fighters to get money. You know what happens? Turkey does not make back his investment. That's what happens. This is the guy that Canelo's going to fight. This is his amateur record. The dude has 0 wins, and he was knocked out when he fights. Maybe there's some other records he has out there, but from BoxRec, this man over here has 1 amateur fight, and he was knocked out. This rat-face-looking motherfucker. Sorry, I don't mean to be mean, but he looks like a rat. And Canelo's fighting him. And most likely what this guy's going to do is he's going to bend over. He ain't coming there to win. And even if he did come there to win, he's still going to lose. It doesn't matter. This guy's outmatched. It's just like this garbage Berlanga fight. Trash. People will say, oh, this guy's tall. It doesn't matter. You're not going to win because of your height, bro. You got to know how to fight. I mean, it would be funny if Canelo lost that fight. I would enjoy that. Because then Crawford would lose his payday as well, right? That'd be great. All right, so we're gonna watch a little trailer for this film called Looper. It reminds me of what happened with the Berlanga fight. Berlanga was actually fighting his future self in that fight. Maybe he'll take a dive, or he'll be a sacrificial lamb in the future as well. Let's see this.
Time travel has not yet been invented. But 30 years from now, it will have been. I am one of many specialized assassins in our present called loopers. So when criminal organizations in the future need someone gone, they zap him back to me, and I eliminate the target from the future.
Oh la la.
Loopers are well paid. We live the good life. And the only rule is never let your target escape. even if your target is you.
You see, your target is you, right, Berlanga? Yeah, people, you see, that was Future. He killed Future Berlanga, man. All right, so JA05, however you say that. Canelo was in deep negotiations with Jake Paul. Turkey is the one who prevented that from happening. Yes, I heard about that. I mean, maybe you should have let it happen. Who gives a shit? I mean, Canelo is an absolute fucking joke, people. He really is. You get it. This movie's called Looper. This guy fights himself. He goes to kill himself. I'm just saying, that guy looks like Future Berlanga. He kind of looked like him. Once again, he was there to take a fucking dive. Dana bad, boxing perfect, right? It's perfect. People, they talk about the Ali Act all the time, but what do you think of that fight? That fight was basically built by Berlanga's promoter. That's who it was built by. It was built to make Berlanga look good, but once again, in the eyes of actual boxing fans, that fight meant absolutely nothing. It means nothing, right? Just like Canelo's fights. The next 3 fights Canelo's having mean absolutely nothing. They for sure mean nothing to 168, right? Doesn't mean anything. This is a bullshit fight. This guy should... How do you pay him, man, this much money to do these garbage fights, right? Ain't nothing real about it. It's trash. All right, so we're going to look at some stuff that's going on in the world of the world of combat sports. Sort of some of it a little outside of it. This probably should be on our news show we have on the channel. If you guys don't know if you've ever seen it, it's called CW News. So it looks like Conor McGregor is running for president of Ireland. You see, I'm going to zoom this in a little bit so I can actually read it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to move it over here. It says, this is supposedly a quote from Conor McGregor. It says, Ireland, the choice is yours. And it's an easy one. Vote for me as your president, and we will save Ireland together. All right, so it looks like Conor McGregor is running for president of Ireland. Pretty retarded, and this must be why you see this cornball at the White House the other day talking about immigrants and all that. Just the common, government scam that they got going around. It's the easiest platform to get on, right? It's the platform that's being built up by all the different world governments. And the evil immigrants are coming in, and they're going to clean them all up. We've spoke about this on our other shows. They're bringing in mass automation into these different countries, people. The developed world has a lot of stuff going on when it comes to automation. So for this guy to keep, they're always pointing at the gays or the immigrants. That's just a red herring. It's nothing. But it makes it real easy for guys like Conor McGregor to jump on that bandwagon. It's like he's just got to say the right words. Whoa, this guy's going to clean up all the immigrants? The thing that the news has told us that we should be afraid of and we should get rid of? I'm going to make the schools better. I'm going to de-gay them. You know how they do the whole tranny thing and all that? A woman is a woman and a man is a man. Oh my God, this guy's breaking the mold. This guy's a genius. He knows what reality is. Yes, the drunk guy that rapes people. He's going to clean everything up. Wasn't this guy that was telling people to lock themselves at home during the cough, Merryman. Remember that time they did to people for like 3 years there or something? Iceman, the comment says the Mexican fans support Canelo. Do you know that's a problem, dude? That's a problem. That it's not about. Look, Canelo's a piece of shit, for real. Because what Canelo does is Canelo pisses in the Mexican fans' face and tells them that it's raining. That's what he does. He's using their Mexican dollar. That's what he's doing. He just wants your fucking money, bro. You should, if you're an actual boxing fan, you should not be supporting Canelo's fights. You should not be paying for them because he's robbing the sport. That's what he's doing. This guy straight up told the fans, I do what I like. That's what he says. I do what I like. I feel I've done enough. Well, if you've done enough, retire. Because this is a sport. That's what this is. This is a sport that's supposed to have a ranking. And this is, once again, why I welcome what Dana White and Turkey are bringing. It's the end of this time period, people. At the end of this fucking pussy generation of boxing. Where these guys, they basically have one fucking fight. They only need to have one fight a year. Like I see They supposedly there was a leak of the pay scale that Dana White's bringing out, right? From what I heard, that's not actually a real leak. That supposedly, according to Turkey, that's not the actual numbers of what the fighters will be making. But we're going to be looking at a video that Paulie Malignaggi put out. Paulie Malignaggi put out, he was talking about the pay scale. He actually said in some ways these are better amounts. These guys are getting paid better. If you look at those numbers, that they're making more than your average, not pro, your average pro, your newcomer prospect. All right, 1 second. I'm closing this file I got over here. So I was right. If there's any truth to those numbers, then Paulie Malignaggi has actually admitted that they're in some ways might actually be making more money. And I said this in a video we did a few days ago, that these guys don't make as much. These boxers don't make as much money as you guys think. Okay. All right, 1 second. So we're gonna be watching that video. Give me 1 second. I'm just looking through some of the files I have here. Okay, we got here Edgar Berlanga. Okay, 1 second. This goes back to the whole Berlanga thing. I have some files. All right, so it says Edgar Berlanga versus Caleb Plant should be next. Should it? I mean, should it really? I mean, what has Caleb Plant done other than lose and lose and lose over the last couple of years? I mean, the last guy he beat, I think, was Durrell. Am I wrong? Oh, no, sorry. He beat Macumbi. The Cum. He beat the Cum. But the Cum was beating the fuck out of him. And then he gassed. That's the only reason he lost. Caleb Plant, he eats a lot. He doesn't just eat plants, people. He also eats lots of snacks. That's for sure. He's a snack fighter. He loves snacks. All right, so that should be the next fight, supposedly. It could be an interesting fight. I picked Berlanga to knock him out. I think Caleb Plant, I don't even think Berlanga is that good. But I think he has enough to knock out Caleb Plant. And it would be impressive. I mean, for a lot of people, if he was to come in there and knock out Caleb Plant and do it in an impressive fashion and do it quickly, I would say that he probably did not come to beat Canelo. If he was to knock out Plant quickly, I would say that he 100% did not come to actually beat Canelo. Because Canelo had a lot of problems with that overrated Plant. Plant shouldn't even be anywhere near the top of 168. He shouldn't. He doesn't do anything but lose to the big fighters. And, I mean, right before that Canelo fight, I don't know if people remember this, but he got his ass whooped by an old man who was ready for retirement. There was a guy named Truax who basically, I got to go watch that fight again, but from what I saw, it looked like Caleb Plant was losing like every round in that fight. Keep in mind, Truax was just like a guy at the end of his career. So Caleb Plant really is a hype job. All right, I'm going to read some of these comments over here before we get into the next topics of this stream. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put some of these in the chat. Mayweather used the Mexican fans fighting on May 5th and September 16th. Yes, exactly. A lot of guys use the Mexican fans. But Canelo's got it. It's even more disgusting for Canelo because Canelo is a Mexican fighter. And he's going to come in there and he's going to tell you right to your face, he's going to take advantage of you. He's going to say, I do enough. And then a lot of his fans will go, yeah, he did enough. No, he didn't do enough because he's still a boxer. If he is in this sport and he's just collecting money, then he's just a fucking leech on the sport. And a lot of people make excuses for this. They make it like he has the right to do that, and he doesn't. He is in a combat sport. This is another reason why I respect the UFC. Because in the UFC, the top guy fights the top guys. And it doesn't matter if he wants to or not. He has to, because he's in a sport. When you're a football player, you don't say, oh, well, I'm too old. I'm going to go against the worst teams. No, you got to go against the top. Because it's basically survival of the fittest when it comes to combat sports or sports. It's the best versus the best. And so if you're the best, then you go against the best. Now, if Canelo's going to say that he is the best, then he has to go against the best. If he doesn't go against the best, then he has no right to call himself the best. Okay? But the sport is supposed to figure out who the best is, not the fighter. The sport figures it out. But that's the issue, is that these guys get paired up soft. This is one of the biggest issues in combat sports, mostly the boxing, because the UFC is totally fine. Every other organization, combat organization, it's got their shit together for the most part. They don't got these little fake fighters who get their entire careers tailored to make them seem like they're invincible. When in reality, these motherfuckers will go have a 30-fight career of straight up bums or tune-ups or whatever they call it, never-ending tune-ups. And then in their fucking 30th or 35th fight, now they're having their very first 50-50 fight. How pathetic is that? And that ain't surprise. That's not satisfying for any real fan of the sport. Not at all. Not to me. Okay, so I'm gonna looking at some of the comments here. All right. Sweet Hands is the great Wigger Hope. Yes, he is. He is absolutely not very good. I'm not a fan of Sweet Hands. Sweet Hands doesn't do much of anything. He's another little cowardly fighter. I mean, I guess he's kind of tough when it comes to cowards. He's a lot tougher than Shakur Stevenson, you know? But he's another one of those guys that takes these long he takes vacations. He's constantly taking vacations, right? It's not acceptable. Not acceptable. That's why when they change the structure, I hope guys like Caleb Plant, they tell him, bro, you got to fight every 5 months. You have to fight unless you got an injury. Or less, every 4 months, right? Hopefully they change the structure where the fighters have, they can change up the amount of rounds, and that could keep fighters active, you know? That's very good to change that around, because to have a 10 or 12 round fight you can get injured. So it would be good if maybe you keep the fighters you keep them active, you keep them having competitive fights. 50-50 always. You try to build the fights to be 50-50. None of this fucking tune-up shit. That tune-up stuff should be outlawed from boxing. No tune-ups, bro. You got to fight a guy who's ranked right next to you. If you're number 3, you're fighting number 4, right? If you're number 10, you're fighting number 11. That's how it's got to be. You can't be doing this shit where these guys are cherry picking. Again, this guy, Eddie Hearn, you see over here, he broke the Ali Act. They always break it. You got the promoter acts as the manager, and they're allowing these guys to fight bums. And look, if it was this guy's manager that set this up, it's still bullshit. No manager should be able to control the sport. No manager and no promoter. The sport happens as it happens. Yes, he promotes it, but there's a ranking system, and that's it. That's how it works. That's how it should work. Well, in boxing, there really isn't a ranking system. They'll just say, oh, look, there's a list of fucking contenders here. And that shit's always the supposed champion comes out, and he does eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Well, it ain't even that. It's really, he just points at where's the easiest fight I can have. That's what they do. Oh, there's the easy one. I'll take that one. That's what Canelo did, right? You look at the titles. Let's see this for a second. I think I have the box rec in here. Give me 1 second. Okay, there's the wrong one. Give me 1 second, people. Okay. I'm looking for the box rec. Canelo training. I got a lot of different files here. I forgot where I put this. Hopefully I put it in here. 1 second, please. Sorting through some of my files here. Okay, so I didn't set this up correctly. Okay, so we got the Conor McGregor. We already gone through that. Okay, UFC rankings. Okay, I got wrong files in here. I have files that are for my... All right, this is sort of like completely not the right file. I have files in here that have nothing to do with boxing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type this into my search engine, and we're going to go and look this up just so I could show you how corrupt the sport is. Very fucking corrupt. Okay, box rec. Okay, we're not looking at box rec. I'm going to look up the rankings for 168 just so we can see how bullshit this is. So what would I write in for that? 168 rankings? Or boxing rankings. There you go. Okay, hopefully I find the right thing. I'm looking for the different rankings. We're going to look this up in a second. I'm going to have to zoom this in a little bit. Hope this doesn't fuck up all the other screens I have here. So I'm going to show you why the sport, one of the reasons the sport needs... Why the sport needs to have one belt per division. All right, so you see over here, I'm going to have to zoom this in just a little bit more. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. Sorry. It's a little clunky. Going to have to zoom this in a lot more because I can't see it. I'm actually looking at this on a screen that's across the room. I've really got to move my monitors around. Just a fact. It's just an effing fact. Damn. Okay. All right, so you guys see over here, you see the rankings. IBF, WB, well, the belts. We're going to go to 168. And this is true of all the different divisions. So we're at 168. Canelo division, right? Canelo has the WBA, WBC, WBO. So you see what he has here. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. He had four different number one contenders, right? Really, there's 3 in total. He had Skull has the title. I don't know. They don't have a number one contender there. I don't know why. So out of these guys here, you have Christian, this M. Billy guy. This guy here is a much better fight than the Skull fight. This William guy is trash. So what these multiple titles allows Canelo to duck the most dangerous number one contender. I mean, it's not like Canelo actually follows these rankings anyway. He's able to pick guys that aren't even ranked. I mean, look, let's see where Berlanga is. Berlanga, whatever, however the fuck you say his name. They got him marked number 5. Like, I don't even know. These rankings don't even make any sense when you look at him. Like, you have the guy, I forgot his name, the one that just knocked. He's over here. On the IBF, they have the guy that just knocked out, what's his name? Munguia. They have him all the way at number, where is he? He have him at number 5. And then they got Edgar Berlanga, who's not done much of anything at this weight class. And they have him all the way up at 5 over here on the WBA 5. And they got him at the 6 on the next belt in the WBC. And then where is he over here on the WBO? Is he even on there? Oh, he's number 3. So they just make this shit up. This shit is just all made up. This stuff means nothing. Because in reality, really, how does he get shot back to the line so far? Like, he's all the way on this one over here. He's getting shot way back there, people. He just lost one fight. Why isn't he fighting these guys like M. Billy or any of them? Even Pacheco, he's a much better fight than Skull, right? But once again, this is what happens. So you have over here, Canelo's able to bypass these number one guys. These 2 number 1 guys, right? 2 much harder fights. Like, believe it or not, I think M. Billy could actually beat Canelo. I think he has a possibility of beating him. Same thing with Pacheco. I'd have to study him more. But I think M. Billy, even though he's not the best fighter, at Canelo's age, a guy like that with the high activity that he puts on, he's a puncher as well, could give Canelo some problems. I wouldn't be shocked if he would beat Canelo. I wouldn't be shocked if he actually beat Canelo. But that's why Canelo ain't fighting him. He's fighting Skull. Okay? But this is what happens. He's able to bypass. You look at all these belts, he can leapfrog all around. It's all bullshit. These rankings mean nothing because the supposed champion, the guy who holds 3 of these fucking 4 belts, cherry picks whoever the fuck he wants. You don't have to fight anybody on these lists. Really. He could pull out a guy who's number 18 or whatever the fuck. He could pull a guy out of a fast food restaurant. So it means nothing. And that's another reason why the UFC and Turkey needs to come in here and clean this shit up. It's a fucking mess. It's a joke. Okay? All right, so I'm reading some of the comments. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Iceman in the comments says, I think it's just in America, the Ali Act. Top guys fight each other in the UFC. Where's John Jones versus Francis Ngannou? Mark. Okay, give me 1 second. You're naming one case of that, and also the top guys all fight each other in the UFC. You're just naming one example, my friend, of that not happening. And you have to understand the reason that didn't happen is because Francis Ngannou he's not in the UFC anymore. He already had left the company before John Jones even came back. John wasn't there when Francis Ngannou had the title. Now, they wanted the fight, but just like boxing, I'll tell you this. What's happening in the UFC is what happened in boxing. They are allowing these prima donnas to control the sport to a certain degree. And that's what happened with Francis Ngannou. And but one of the reasons that fight didn't happen, the Francis Ngannou fight versus John Jones, is because Francis Ngannou became like Floyd Mayweather. He became a prima donna. He became a little spoiled bitch. And so he wanted some exaggerated, crazy sum of money. And Dana White said, go fuck yourself. And so he left the company and got knocked out by AJ. And that's all nice and cute. But what happens when Francis has 2 fights in boxing and gets laid out twice? He's done a decent job versus a fat-ass Tyson Fury, right? That was good for him. That's Tyson Fury's fault. But AJ showed him the level. Knocked his ass out real quick. How many times could this guy get knocked the fuck out? Because look, from when I heard Francis Ngannou might fight Wilder, and that's all nice and cute. And he'll get that bloated payday because that's what happens in boxing. But what happens after Francis gets laid out once again? You know that's probably what's going to end up happening. As much as people don't like Deontay Wilder, I think Deontay Wilder will most likely knock Francis Ngannou the fuck out. Give me 1 second. I'm drinking my coffee, bro. So yes, in the UFC on average, all the top fighters fight the top fighters. But there are guys like John Jones that duck out. And that's what he did. He was told he needed to have the mandatory fight versus a fighter named Reyes. And so what John Jones did is that he had to retire. He retired for about 3 to 4 years. Then he came up in weight in order to bypass his mandatories, right? And now he's fighting because he saw that the heavyweight division was weak. And so now he's fighting weak fighters. But, sorry to say, not sorry to say, John Jones has another mandatory. This guy the man's name is Aspinall, and he is there. He is basically a very good contender, and he might possibly knock John out. And so now what's happening is that John Jones is stuck not having any fights at all because the UFC, all they want is for him to fight Aspinall. So John Jones is just basically sidelined. And once again, unlike boxing, where you can bypass who you're supposed to fight, John Jones is just stuck not fighting at all. So if he wants to get a fight, he cannot do a fight in MMA. He has to fight. He has to do another organization. It cannot be boxing. He cannot have he could do wrestling, but I don't think he can fight for any combat sports organization. He could do maybe jiu-jitsu or, that kind of thing, but he cannot legally. I don't think he can have a MMA fight. He cannot. So that's the way they hold him down. And I think it's totally fair. I mean, you make a contract with a company, you should not be able to step out and go fight for another company. And that just allows fighters to bypass all their mandatories. Look, people, boxing needs a strict ranking system. We're sick of waiting for prime fighters to have for these fighters to have their fights when the motherfuckers are in their 50s. Like, how long does it take to make a fucking fight? This is not the way a sport is supposed to be run. It's not. Okay? Look at this guy over here, Iceman, drinking coffee at 7:30. Yes, I'm drinking coffee, so what? I drink coffee all the time. Oh my God. Right. 1 second, please. The Ali Act, yes, supposedly it's only in America, but most of the big fights happen in America. Most of the big fights. I think that goes for both MMA and boxing. All right, Iceman says, if not one, at least bring it to 2 belts, but one just makes so much sense. Yes, the sport only needs one belt per division. That's it. We should not have divisions filled with belts. That's how you allow fighters to avoid fights. Like, they'll just basically drop belts. That's all they do. That's the easiest way to get because what happens is that the sanctioning bodies sanction fights between bums. Like, how is it that Skold gets to fight for that belt? What has he done that he can fight for that for a belt? Right? How is it that that's who, like, lower level fighters get to fight for a belt? Why wouldn't it be the 2 top guys? Right? Why wasn't it like, look, you see over here when you look at the rankings, you saw you had Pacheco, right? And you also had that guy, and Billy. Why didn't they fight for that belt? Why was that? Well, the problem is because if they win it, then what the fuck is Canelo going to do? Well, what he would do is he wouldn't fight for that belt. He'd probably say, oh, well, I don't want to fight for that belt. But he needs to get it back, right? Because he's got to go and have that little fake fight versus Terrence Crawford, right? A 147 guy. It's pathetic, people. What should happen to Canelo is he should be stripped. Okay? That's all that should happen. All right, so right now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the UFC. I'm going to show you their rankings. Their shit, no one really bypasses UFC rankings. Guys fight. They have to fight. It's part of the company. It's the rule. They have to fucking fight. That's a real sport where they have actual fights. The one thing I disagree with the UFC right now that I don't like is that they now have it where they have a interim title. There should be no interim titles. Fuck that. You get a title when you win it, right? 1 second. That's a stupid thing. But the problem is that a lot of people, they see the title and now they want to buy the card. If there's no title, they're like, I don't care. Right? Like to see that little gold trinket. The interim title, really, to me, all it is a paperweight. It's a paper title. Okay? So you see their rankings here? All these guys got to fight each other. Well, this isn't the right one. This isn't for the weight. Any guy you see on here, number one, they're going to fight these guys. So Leon Edward, they have him as the number 1 contender. He's having a fight, I think, this Saturday. If he wins that, guess what? He's going to be fighting the champion. No doubt about it. They've already fought. You know, all these guys got to fight. They got Pereira at number 1. He's going to have a rematch. These guys are going to have a rematch. That's already been set, right? So this shit, when you really read into this stuff, they got Usman number 3. I think really Usman is the fight to make with this wrestler guy. He's a bum. At least Usman throws some fucking punches. You got Strickland. Look at this. Strickland loses to Duplessis, right? And look what happens. He's number two, right? That's where he should be. Unlike Berlanga, where he loses to Canelo and they shoot him all the way down the rankings. That's stupid. Or what that shows you is that he never should have been up there to begin with. Right? And that is true. But the UFC's rankings are way, way better than boxing. And the guys have to actually follow the rankings. It's very rare that you see a guy who's able to bypass. It doesn't really happen. That needs to be brought to boxing. If they don't, then the sport's just going to be dead. It's going to be a dead piece of shit forever. Even though I do love boxing, I'm sick. I'm very sick of it already. Sick! I'm sick of the fact that they let fighters duck all the time. All right, so what we got over, we got Teofimo's unhappy with Reynoso. He says he won't be training with him. He won't be training with Eddie. I mean, most people don't like training with Reynoso. Reynoso lives up Canelo's booty hole. That's really what it is. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but most people leave Reynoso. He is not a very good trainer. He never has been. Okay? So there's no shock there. Okay. Just going through all the different files I got here. This has absolutely nothing to do with boxing or combat sports. This is the Wonder Woman. This is protesters disrupt Gal Gadot's Walk of Fame ceremony. You know, well, Walk of Fame. Yeah, so I don't understand why they gave this bitch this Hollywood star. Is this like some weird nepotism thing? Sorry, there's an advertisement to show you this. This has something to do with the world of entertainment. So this Gal Gadot, I don't know if it is a lady. She looked a little tranny-ish. She got a star. I don't understand why. I mean, she plays Wonder Woman. It is a wonder. Is she a woman? I don't know. She looks kind of like a dude when I look at her. That's got to be some nepotism or something. But supposedly people destroyed that star after they put it there. Whatever. Just a little side note there. I don't understand how a lady who's basically had no effect on the film industry gets a Hollywood star. I mean, is it like boxing where everyone gets a fucking title? Now everyone gets a star? You can just do anything. You can do one television commercial and they'll give you a star. Stupid. Okay, so we got Paulie Malignaggi over here. We're going to listen to a little bit of what he has to say. He's going to be talking about this KO shit. All right? Dana White, you don't like him too much. Let's hear this. Well, I don't know what's going on here. Give me 1 second, people. My audio is off.
Paulie Malignaggi, Paulie TV. You know what? I got some thoughts. We got some more news about the DKO Fight League. According to the Boxing Scene article, there's some numbers being discussed and whatnot.
All right, so he's going to talk about the leak, supposed leak, but it's a supposed leak because from what I heard, Turki Al-Sheikh came out and he said that's not a real document. That's not. Maybe he's lying. He could be lying. But we're going to hear what Paulie thinks of the numbers.
I saw Turki Al-Sheikh saying that the article on Boxing Scene is not factually correct, which I kind of doubt because Turki Al-Sheikh was also the same guy who was saying Crawford Madrimov was sold out last year when it wasn't. And then it comes out, more news came out, they were giving away tickets, so on and so forth. So I'm not saying that he's definitively a liar. I'm just saying that, I think all promoters, and he's a promoter at this point, they look to protect their market, protect their investment.
Yeah, Technique says, yep, nobody pays for pay-per-views anymore. Yeah, man. It's like I said, that's what the stream was labeled, I think, are these pay-per-views overpriced, and they are. This Skull pay-per-view here with Canelo, that shit costs $90. Like, how are you going to charge $90 for that, but then charge $25 for the last Crescendo? It doesn't make sense. And what's happening is that they're overpaying Canelo. They're overpaying him, and he's not going to bring in the goods. There's no reason why this man should be paid that much money to have 4 fights. And they're not even good fights. He's going to have 3 versus all cherry picks. The 4th fight, we don't know what it is. My guess is it's going to be a bum. It's probably going to be a bum, or it's going to be he's going to attempt probably to get Benavidez to come down in weight. That's my guess. And Benavidez would be fucking retarded to take that. He would have to be retarded. Don't allow this guy to try to use you, because that's what Canelo does. He's not a real fighter anymore. His fights are trash. He's trash. He's a leech to the sport. 100% leech. He should drop all the titles he has and let actual fighters fight for them. Okay? And he can go on his little cherry picking extravaganza that he's got going on there. Right? Don't try to drag this motherfucker down, because that's some bullshit. That's an unfair thing to do. Right? It's not right to do. You just leave him where he is. Don't try to entice this motherfucker to come down so you can rob his ass. Because that's what he's going to do. He's going to rob him. That's completely robbing him of his legacy, right? Dude, you're going to go and pretend that you're great by draining the fuck out of this guy after he has multiple fights at that weight. I want him to come down, and I need him to come in and have this weight, this weight clause, dehydration clause, and he got to wear these gloves, and blah, blah. And the motherfucker's a phony. Phony. That's the Mexican ginger Floyd Mayweather right there.
And protect their image, so to speak. Here's what the article does say.
It's disgusting. Every day I hear people, watch, Crawford's got a shot. No, he doesn't. Why do you think they haven't had these motherfuckers meet? We know for a fact he's fighting Crawford in September, so why is there no face-off? Why is there no advertising, right? And I'll put money that after the Skull, you're not going to see any advertising for that fight. You may never see Crawford standing next to Canelo till they're in the ring together. That could actually be a thing that happens. Because the moment you see Canelo standing next to Crawford, you're going to be like, oh shit, I'm not buying that garbage. This fucking guy's going to kill that little bum. He's going to look like a little tiny skinny motherfucker. It's going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger standing next to Flavor Flav. Right? That's probably what it's going to look like. Crawford might be a little taller, but Canelo's going to look much bigger. Doesn't matter.
And, from all intents and purposes, we're hearing he's saying it's not true, but we're also not hearing any counter information either, right? So the minimums seem pretty generic for a standard contract, especially for a standard contract where you're turning pro. They don't seem very, very attractive to.
David Benavidez is ducking Callum Smith. Turkey offered him the fat fight. That fight is a nothing fight. David Benavidez should not be fighting Smith because the guy he just fought is better than Smith. I don't think he would be afraid of fighting Smith. Smith is a pillow puncher. I think Benavidez would beat him into the dirt. He could have that fight. That'd be all right. But look, if he can't get Bivol, then maybe he fights Smith. But that Smith fight is really just a busy fight, I think, for him. That Smith doesn't punch hard enough to give Benavidez any problems. I think Benavidez would beat him into the fucking dirt, for real. He would. It would be an interesting fight. Yes, it's a lot better than what Canelo's fighting. Smith is a lot better at this weight than Skull. Skull is not good at all. He's not a very good fighter. He's just a cherry pick for Canelo. But I don't think Benavidez is afraid of Smith at all. I think, if anything, he's just looking towards bigger fights. But if he can't get Bivol, that would be a decent stay busy fight, I guess, right?
Established fighters, for example, I guess the high on the high end.
All right, people, sorry, I have this fucking video running. I'm not even showing it on the damn screen. Sorry about that.
Holy TV. You know what? I got some thoughts. We got some more news about the DKO Fight League. Some some according to the boxing scene.
All right, we're going to go ahead a little because I think I watched some of this. Sorry about that. I was just reading the comments and not paying attention to the video.
You reach a championship level where then there is sort of a fair market value paid to you according to the opposition, according to the level of star that you become, according to or according to the level of star that you're fighting against. So, there's usually a fair market value there that comes into play at the very top, right? When your minimums come into play at the very top, at the championship level. But the lower levels, it's sort of standard for the most.
Yamano says that Smith hits hard. I don't think he hits hard at all. I think every once in a while he'll throw a decent punch, but he doesn't hit that hard. He doesn't hit nearly as hard as Morrell does, or the other dude that Benavidez fought. I think Smith would be easy work for a guy like Benavidez would walk right through him.
Part for most promoters, for most prospects anyway. So let's look at the lower levels. $20,000 for prospects. Beginning, they'll get a $5,000 signing bonus, 3-year contract plus 2 or something like that. Seems pretty standard, especially for the market value of 2025. There's, I think they had about $125,000 if you're ranked in the top 5 of their rankings. Obviously, being that the money is based on their personal rankings, this is also a league, whether you want to admit it or not. This is what would be defined as a league, I think. And also, that comes into play where the article makes a good point by Lance Pugmire. That can be manipulated as well. Let's face it. We've seen in the UFC when.
All right, so he's going on about the salaries. I'm going to look at a document we got over here that I think has some of these supposed leaked. 1 second. I'm going to see if it's on here somewhere. All right, we're going to read some of this. I have to zoom in a little. All right, 1 second. This fucking shit. Can I please just read this? 1 moment. I have to lower this music. It sounds a bit loud. Okay, so there it is. It's oh my God, wrong screen. Sorry, it's a little clunky here, people. All right, so $20,000 for a 10-round bout by an unranked fighter. All right, so if it's unranked, $20,000 for 10 rounds. It doesn't really it depends on just the amount of rounds. They're not saying anything about the opponent. All right. Got $50,000 when ranked by the company at number 5 to number 10. So if you're in the 10th ranked to the 5th place, you get $50,000. You also, I guess, you got to factor in possible pay-per-view points or, the way the fight finishes. A lot of times in the UFC, they have bonuses. Okay, so you got the 3 to 4 rank. You got $125,000 when ranked by the company at number 3 or 4. Okay, that's interesting. It's kind of high up in the ranks to have that much. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. $375,000 when challenging for the company championship. Okay, so the contender gets $375,000 for a title shot, right? Challenging for the company championship. I don't know if that's for a shot at the championship or fighting the champion. Company champion. Okay, I guess you're fighting, that's a title fight. They should have just called it that. When fighting for the championship. Company championship, all right. $750,000 when defending the company championship. All right. So $750,000 by boxing standards, that's a guaranteed amount. That's a guarantee. All right. So it's not going to get any lower than that. Okay. 20,000, 10 rounds fight, that's low. Iceman says that's low. Mono says that's UFC pay. All right. I mean, you guys got to understand that a lot of boxers don't make that much money. They actually, a lot of them don't make even this much. $375,000. $375,000 guaranteed is not the worst thing ever. That's a lot of money. Just when you look at boxers, a lot of these boxers, most of them actually don't make anywhere near to the amounts you guys see. Like you see Tyson Fury getting supposedly $100 million, and Usyk and Floyd getting, $30 million a fight. That's not realistic. I talked about that on the last stream. That is what they call, that's honeypot money. That's what that is. I don't know if you guys know this, but football players don't make as much as you guys think. Pro football players, I think that at the lowest, the guys make somewhere around not even $1 million. And that's football. You can get tackled just one time in a single game and get your knee blown out and your career's over. That's just in one game. Those guys, a lot of them don't even make $1 million a year. And I mean, $1 million is obviously a lot of fucking money. I mean, but when we look at these giant bloated paydays of these very top level scam artists of boxing get, the honeypot money, that's not common. That's only a couple. That's not very many fighters. I brought this example up in the last stream we had. You guys remember Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz was paid. I bring up Victor Ortiz because he was actually he was a big prospect. He was a big contender coming up. And they actually paired him up against Chino Maidana in a 12-round fight. He got $150,000 to fight Chino Maidana. Right? It's a supposedly high-level fight for that weight class. Right? That's up there. That's got to be in like the top slot, number five, the top 5 guys. And he got 150. Let's see that this over here, it's 3 or 4, right? That's the top slot, 5 to 10, 50,000. So that is less, but you got to keep in mind that this isn't, you see here, it says 50,000 to fight within the 10, within the ranks, the 10, right? 5 to 10. So that's not too terrible for that. And that's any guy. That ain't the top of the top, right? That's just within the 10 rankings, 10 guys in that ranking. Top 10, 50,000. Then you go up a little bit, which would be the 125,000 would be around that Victor Ortiz level, right? But one thing I don't get is how many rounds is that? That doesn't say the amount of rounds, right? They say to 125,000 when ranked by the company at number 3 or 4. What amount of rounds would that be? Right? I don't know. Because earlier it says the amount of rounds. So we don't know how this is structured, and this right here, this document, we don't even know if it's real. Because Turkey came out after and he said that nothing was leaked. That's not a real document. Okay? So I'm going to go back to that Paulie Malignaggi video. He's going to talk more about this. Okay?
Dana White has a hard-on for a certain fighter, and he doesn't like him because he turned down a certain fight. He kind of puts him on the bench, or he removes him from the rankings. We've sort of seen that happen.
Okay, I'm sorry, people. I'm not watching this video close enough. My dogs are barking.
Pretty standard.
I want to analyze. We're going to analyze some of this video here,
especially for the market value of 2025. There's.
I mean, you see a lot of contradictions in this video. A lot of them.
I think they had about $125,000 if you're ranked in the top 5 of their rankings. Obviously, being that the money is based on their personal rankings, this is also a league, whether you want to admit it or not. This is what would be defined as a league, I think.
I don't know why he's talking about personal rankings, because really what he should do is bounce this up against what's happening in boxing. Boxing's rankings mean absolutely fucking nothing to the sport. We have Berlanga fighting Canelo. Why was Berlanga fighting Canelo? If we're going by the rankings, then why was he fighting him? Right? There's a lot of guys. Why are they fighting? Like, look, you look at Munguia. Why was Munguia fighting Canelo? Almost everybody's. Why is Crawford fighting Canelo? Right? Why is Canelo going to fight Chris Eubanks? Why? That Chris Eubanks is in a totally different weight class. Right? And he's not the top rated guy even in that weight class. So why is Canelo fighting him? So if they're going to pick and choose fights for these fighters in boxing, then why are you crying about the UFC? And not the UFC, but what Dana White and Turkey is putting out. Because I'll put money that whatever they create is going to be built for entertainment and actual challenges, right? An actual challenging fight. They ain't picking cherry picks. They ain't going to take a guy from the lightweight division and have him fight their light heavyweight champion. Or some weird, stupid shit like that, like they're doing in boxing.
And also, that comes into play where the article makes a good point by Lance Pugmire. That can be manipulated as well. Like, let's face it. We've seen in the UFC when Dana White has a hard-on for a certain fighter and he doesn't like him because he turned down a certain fight, he kind of puts him on the bench or he removes him from the rankings. We've seen that. We've sort of seen.
All right, and what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I think if a fighter is avoiding their mandatories or a tough fight that the fans want to see, then he deserves to get a penalty. Of course he does. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. There should be penalties for doing this. The sport's made you filthy rich. It's made a lot of money for you. So why can't you do something for the fans and for the company? Why not? Right? Like you look at Floyd Mayweather, the motherfucker's filthy fucking rich. Why can't you fight Manny Pacquiao? I'm scared. That's really what he should have said. He did say it. He said it in many different ways. Even when he got the fight, when they forced it onto him, when Manny was 100 years old, the dude's whole gym was crying for him. They all cried for him. They're like, he ain't good anyway. He don't know how to fucking fight. They were angry that Floyd was getting over $100 million. They were fucking angry about it. They were scared for him. But the thing is that was an old as fuck Manny Pacquiao. Now, let's think if Dana White and Turkey owned boxing or owned the biggest boxing promotion in the world at the time. Floyd would have had to just fight him. Either fight him or retire. That would have been his options. And I'd rather that be what boxing is than the bullshit that we've had for decades now.
Seen that happen in some...
Dana White's got a hard-on for a fighter. Oh, you mean like how the boxing world is a hard-on for Canelo? For Floyd Mayweather? For Shakur, the bum? Shakur beats an electrician. He wants to go fight the number one guy at 135, right? How are you jumping around like that, bro? How could you just jump through the division? He's jumping all over the place. These guys are just leapfrogging over all the fucking fighters. They don't even have to go through the gauntlet. They could just go and cherry pick. Yeah, Keyshawn's like, I want Tank. Like, what did you do, bro? You've done nothing. I'm not to say that Tank's done a lot, but he's done more than Keyshawn. He's done more than Shakur has, right? So why do those guys get special treatment? Why does these promoters have a hard on for those guys? Because I see Shakur just made $2 million for what? For beating an electrician. So there's boxers that are anointed all the time. So why is it a problem when Dana has fighters that he favors? Maybe fighters that are exciting, ones that the fans like, fighters that actually take on all challenges, right? It's just weird because he keeps saying this guy's trash, but he's not pointing out the fact that boxing does this kind of shit to a much greater degree than what they do in MMA.
In some instances, and Dana will obviously deny he did it for that reason. He'll say it was for another reason and so on and so forth. But logic and common sense for anybody that's followed the UFC, they've seen that happen. Where you wind up on the wrong side of Dana White's temper. So you're at the mercy of basically where he puts you in the rankings and what he's going to pay you, because essentially you're in that quote unquote.
I mean, what's wrong with that? What is wrong? Look, let me use this example. You got a guy like a Shakur who runs his ass off like a bum. So whole fight, he gets a robbery win. Should they just put him in the number one contendership? He's fighting for it. Let's imagine Shakur's fighting. They have only one. He's in the whatever the weight he's currently in, and so he's fighting for the number one slot to fight the champion. And in that fight, his number one fight, a contender fight, he's running around the ring like a little coward the whole time. And somehow, for some weird reason, the judges give him the fight. Should he be given the title shot for running like a fucking bitch? No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't, because he ran like a bum, right? And he won on a robbery.
So I think when you're creating this in boxing, you're kind of creating a similar situation here. Where he may have his favorites. Who knows? He may like a guy better, and he may rank him.
I'll tell you this: it's not a good thing to allow fighters that are not exciting, who don't come to win on little cheap points wins. Because what ends up happening is that you have these cards and they destroy the entire card. Look, they're putting a lot of money behind this. So when you're a boring motherfucker and you don't fight to actually win, you kind of win on a technicality. What happens is that people don't buy your cards. They get bored with the sport. You lose support, you lose money. And that's bad for the whole company. That's bad for everyone's pockets. That includes all the fighters, right? This is one of the reasons why little Floydie there, I'm always going to bring him up because this really is the end of his era. His coward era is coming to an end. What happened with that guy is that he would bore the fuck out of everybody, right? He fought Manny Pacquiao in a very cowardice way. He fought many fighters in a very cowardice way. And what would happen is when you didn't have a very dangerous fighter in there that people thought would knock him out, his cards would sell nothing. His last fight versus Andre Berto basically was a big old flop. They gave this guy over $35 million, and it flopped. They lost a lot of money on it. They lost a lot of money on him, and that's because the style he fought in. As much as people say he was great, they fucking hated watching him. If he wasn't in a fight versus a guy they thought could knock his head off, no one wanted to watch it because they knew what he was going to do. He's going to tap and run, tap and run, tap and run. One punch, run. One punch, miss, hold. That's all he would do all day. If this was under the roof of Turkey and Dana, he would have been cut probably from the organization. From the promotion, he would have been cut. Bye. See you later.
Top 5, even if he may not belong in the top 5. Or he may have a guy that belongs in
And
the
there
top.
ain't nothing wrong with that. Because that fucking cowardice way of fighting that what Shakur got and what a lot of these guys got needs to be wiped from boxing. That's not boxing. That ain't the sweet science. That's the sweet tap and run. That's what that is. That ain't sweet science. Sweet science is staying near your opponent in punching range, slipping off the line, coming right back. It ain't tap, run, tap, jump. And they're doing it through the whole fucking fight. Tap and run, tap and run. Tap and hold. Punch and hold. They throw a punch, they'll miss and grab you. If they land it, they grab you. They still grab you. If they'll throw a little tap jab, let you throw something, run away. You throw a feint, they jump 20 feet back. This is how a lot of these guys fight. And the shit's garbage. Any person that people will say all day that they like that shit. But I'll put money that the people that say that is impressive rob every single pay-per-view they watch. They don't pay for any of them.
Top 5, you may not like him, and he may not rank him in the top 5. Who makes the rankings? I don't know who makes the rankings in this
I'll
league.
tell you who's supposed to make the rankings. The fighters are supposed to make the rankings. It's based on winning and losing. Right? You climb the ladder, as they say. That's who makes the rankings. And that's what we see for the most part in the UFC. We really don't see that in boxing. The supposed guys at the top, cherry pick their asses off. So these guys can go and climb the ranks all they fucking want. They very rarely get an actual title shot versus these guys just cherry pick their whole damn careers. And if they fight your ass, you're probably coming off a loss.
I assume it's somebody with Dana who has the hierarchy there. But is there a rankings commission? The sanctioning bodies, for all their faults, and there's plenty that needs to be fixed about the sanctioning bodies. It's not like this is a defense of the sanctioning bodies, but I'm sort of the opinion that you'd rather devil you know than the devil you don't. And so stepping in a dark room, you sort of, give yourself the opportunity to maybe step in some pitfalls here. I think for some type of fighters, this can be an interesting novel concept, And I think for some prospects who come from, not making a lot of money in the amateurs and not making any money in the amateurs, this kind of contract can be appealing in some ways. But it's not all that different from what a lot of promoters will offer a top level.
He doesn't want to admit that the fucking contract's good. That's what he doesn't want to say. The guys are getting more money than what they're getting in boxing. I told you guys, boxers don't make that much money. These guys are paying these guys more money.
Top level amateur prospect, and then those.
He says top level amateur prospect. No, these guys are going to be pro. They're going to be paid a decent amount of money coming into boxing. He's paying them more. According to that, they're probably going to pay them more than what they're showing there. They're not going to show you these contracts because most likely what's going to end up happening is that these guys won't be paid fight to fight. They'll be paid. Well, they will be paid fight to fight, but they'll get a total amount of money. It'll be like basically football, or like he says, a league, right? The guys in leagues, what they get is they get a yearly salary. They get paid a certain amount of money every year.
Promoters also will bring up that top level amateur prospect in the sort of the correct way that a prospect should be nurtured into a contender and into a champion. At this league, you're risking here. You may get paid a little better, but not a lot better at that level.
You may get paid a little better. He can't just say you're getting paid better. You're getting paid better. That's what it is. Oh no, Dana White paid these guys more. Oh no.
It's not like the numbers that I saw are that much better for prospects than they are for high-level prospects than they are for high-level prospects in the regular world of boxing from the mainstream promoters, at least if you sign with a Top Rank or a PBC or a Matchroom or so on, or Queensberry or so on and so forth. If you sign with that level of promoter, those contracts usually can sort of be similar. Maybe not as quite as good depending on the level of prospect you are, but I think you can get sort of similar, but it'll be a safer journey up the ladder. I'm not saying, you'll fight bums. Top Rank, for example, for me, learn how to nurture the prospect.
All right, we're going to listen to this. I really got to break this down. Sorry, people, I'm all over the place.
In the regular world of boxing from the mainstream promoters, at least if you sign with a Top Rank or a PBC or a Matchroom or so on, or Queensberry or so on and so forth. If you sign with that level of promoter, those contracts usually can sort of be similar. Maybe not as quite as good depending on the level of prospect you are, but
So he just basically pointed out some of the biggest promoters in boxing, and he says their contracts won't be as good. Funny, huh?
you can get sort of similar, but it'll be a safer journey up the ladder.
It'd be a safer journey up the ladder. Isn't that funny? So boxing, a sport, is supposed to be hard, right? It's supposed to be the best versus the best, right? And just keep in mind, it's based on rank. As you go up the ladder, it gets harder. I've said this many, many, many times on the show. What ends up happening in boxing is these guys get paired up very soft. They don't work their way up the ladder. They just get in versus mismatch after mismatch after mismatch after mismatch after mismatch. And then, because, you know, it's all about the O, right? But that O is at the expense of the fans' excitement, at the expense of an actual career of effort and your legacy actually meaning something, right? You actually working for your legacy, right? Working your way up. What ends up happening in boxing, these guys don't really have to work their way up. It's all the other fighters, the ones who aren't anointed, who have to have hard fights. All the Shakur type guys, and all the, the big guys, the guys that the promoter have a hard on for, as Paulie likes to say. Those guys get to get cherry pick after cherry pick after cherry pick after cherry pick, and then they are undefeated. And then they pair them up, a guy versus a guy who is literally just a regular old fighter. Many times they're not even real champions. They're paper champions, right? Because a lot of times they bypass the best fighter. This is what most of these guys do. They bypass the actual best fighter in the division who has one of these titles. And so what they do is they'll just bypass them forever. They'll possibly never fight that guy, because that guy possibly will also be ducking the top fights. So what ends up happening is they have cherry picks for many years. And then these two guys fight each other, and it is literally a 50-50 fight. But what people need to understand is the way the sport's supposed to be structured is every fight is a 50-50 fight. That's how it's supposed to be. That's why it's the ranking, right? You're paired up against a guy of equal skill every single time. And then you fight the top of the top, the guy with the title. And it's 50-50 once again. It's always supposed to be 50-50. He's over here he's defending cherry picks. Cherry picking. Oh, that climb up the ladder is going to be really comfortable. Yeah. It's comfortable the entire time because they let you bypass fucking everyone. They bypass everyone. And then you have your one 50-50 fight. It's garbage. No one cares about it. No one wants to watch it anymore.
I'm not saying...
And why are they being so nice to you? Why is the promoter pairing you up so soft? Right?
You'll fight bums. Top rank, for example, for me, learn how to... Saying, you'll fight bums. Similar, but it'll be a safer journey up the ladder. I'm not saying, you'll fight bums. Top rank.
I'm not saying you'll fight bums. I'm just saying the promoter will allow you to bypass all your competition. And if it's a hard fight, they'll give you a robbery win.
Example, for me,
because they got a hard on for you.
Learn how to nurture the prospects the best way. They go from prospect to contender to champion in the best.
So you see what he says? Oh, they nurture you. No, they protect you from challenges, from actual competition. Boxing is a sport about competition. So he's saying, well, you'll be able to go up the ladder without competition. You'll just be able to go up. Like, we've seen this. How many times have we seen this? These fighters have these garbage fights one after another. Just all garbage. You look at a guy like Deontay Wilder. He basically fought nobody. And that's why when he fought Tyson Fury, he wiped the floor with him, right? In many ways. I mean, not in the first fight. It was a little bit challenging. But, this was like his first real challenge. That's what it was. The guys didn't have any challenges. So as they say, iron sharpens iron. These guys are fighting paper. It's like he's a scissor and he's fighting a bunch of papers. That's what it is. Rock, paper, scissors, right? So he's fighting a bunch of paper.
Best way out of all the promoters, in my opinion. But even the other top promoters, they've built guys out of the amateurs from the...
He straight up says they build them. Like I said in our last stream, these fighters don't make themselves. The promoters make them. Just like Lil Floydie there, just like all these guys, they all got made. They're made men. They don't make themselves. They're not self-made men. They are created by their promoters. They're an illusion. Their achievements aren't real. They're in many ways imaginary. They did happen physically, but they are orchestrated. These are orchestrated careers. These aren't real These are not real legends of the sport. These guys got it soft the entire time. They have very soft careers. I mean, once again, Floydie, his whole career for the most part was a soft career. It was all cherry picks all the way through from beginning to end.
Stage to the pro stages, to the contender stages, to the championship stages. You may get a little more money at these stages from a TKO league, but you're also going to be taking more risks. And when you're taking more risks, what happens? You take some L's.
Yeah, you take some more risks, and when you take more risks, the fans respect you a little more, the ones that actually know the sport, and you probably have exciting fights because you're actually being challenged. And the pay structure in the UFC actually gives you more money for having challenging fights. As far as I know, they give you what they call fight of the night. They do all kinds of stuff and give you more money. So hopefully they keep that stuff in place to give these guys these big bonuses.
And then when you take some L's in this league, you don't break the rankings, and you're going to be fighting tougher fights earlier on in your career. So your ability to break the rankings, at least their rankings, which again, it's their rankings. So there's a lot of questions there with their rankings. Your ability to break their rankings or
What's the questions? What's the question? I mean, the question is there's no question. They have a ranking system just like boxing does. The only difference, the only real question is, will it be enforced more than boxing? And I would say, and more than traditional boxing, you know, more than the current state of boxing. I would put money that their rankings will be way better and way more enforced than what we see in boxing currently. Because if it's not, then what's the fucking point of it existing? The whole point of what Dana White is doing in Turkey is to iron the sport out and to create a better product. Obviously, they're trying to make money, but they're trying to create a better product. That's how they're going to outsell everyone else, is by making a legitimate, respectable product.
Their rankings depends on you being in constant tough fights. Now, what if you, I don't know, aren't able to break their rankings? Or what if you know, there's guys like Dana White who in the UFC, for example, guys win, but he doesn't like the way they fight.
It doesn't matter because, look, Dana White, he's not going to say this probably. Dana White doesn't care if you have the title. There are actually guys in the UFC that make more money than the guys who have the titles. The thing is that what the UFC rewards many times are exciting fighters. So even if you don't have the title, you're going to get rewards for being exciting. This is why a guy like Justin Gaethje makes more money than most boxers. He makes more money than them. Why? Because he's exciting. And this doesn't mean that he has to get his brains beaten, right? He doesn't. He has to defend himself correctly. That's why guys got to work on your defense. You don't want to become Joe Joyce over here and just call yourself the juggernaut and get your face beaten. If you defend yourself and you have, go for the finish, then they're going to give you rewards in their version of boxing, which is the real version in many ways. What they're talking about. One title, none of this cherry picking bullshit.
He doesn't give them a chance, or he may make up an excuse to say, hey, you know what, this guy so and so, you won, but he doesn't deserve this shot. And maybe it's for lack of entertainment value. Whatever.
But that really doesn't happen. That doesn't happen because he's having wrestlers go up against strikers all the time in the UFC. The fight that happened with Pereira, that guy won and he got the title. That's what happened. So they didn't strip him or take it from him. He's having the fight and he's having a rematch.
It's okay. Rankings. There's entertainment value and there's rankings. And that's why sanctioning bodies are needed, because rankings take into account only winning and losing and your ability to win, while promotional entities also take into account your ability to entertain. If you're playing promoter and sanctioning body ranking, now you're sort of skewing that line here. There may be guys who know how to win but don't know how to entertain. Their market value may not be great, but being that they win, they still deserve their shots, right? And so in a league like this, you're sort of skewing that line. While promotional entities...
So basically he's saying the boring guys, they may be able to win like that. I mean, I don't agree with any of this because I don't think that if you look at the UFC as the model, there's boring fighters always who have titles in the UFC. It's happened for a long time. Even GSP, many people didn't like the way GSP fought. They used to call it lay and pray. He was boring many times.
Also take into account your ability to entertain. If you're playing promoter and sanctioning body ranking, now you're sort of skewing that line here.
And he's acting like this shit doesn't happen in boxing all the time. This is what happens in boxing. And this isn't true what he's saying. In the UFC, the rankings are the rankings. That's all it is. There's boring guys all over the UFC roster, huggers and humpers and all that. They're all in there, okay? What we see in boxing is we see guys taking these low-level guys and selling them to the champion. That's what they're doing all the time, just selling bumps. Look at Berlanga the other day. The guy just fought Canelo, and who'd he fight? He fought a nobody. So that shit ain't even legitimate at all.
Maybe guys who know how to win, but don't know how to entertain. Their market value may not be great, but being that they win, they still deserve their shots, right? And so in a league like this, you're sort of skewing that line. Also, like I said, your ability to break those rankings, you're going to be in constant tougher fights for just a little bit more money than what other prospects make.
There ain't going to be a lot of those Floyd types in this promotion for sure. I think a guy like a Shakur would be cut. They would cut him. And I don't think there would be anything wrong with that. He doesn't come to win. He comes to tap and run.
For just a little, because on your climb up the ladder, that's just a little bit more money than other prospects make at those levels. So is it worth the risk? Because here's the thing. What if you don't make it? You find yourself as a pretty good prospect. Now you've been sort of knocked around left and right. And what if you get released? Now you took a bunch of losses. Now you're not valuable to the mainstream boxing, to what boxing has always been to the other promoters. They look at you and say, "Hey, this guy took too many L's."
Well, I mean, look. He keeps making stuff up. They don't have that same culture. They don't have that culture in MMA that he's talking about. It doesn't. They don't have it. Guys lose in the UFC. They come to fight, and sometimes they lose. They don't throw them away. Look at Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson it's been on a multiple fight losing streak in the UFC. Have they cut him? No, they haven't. Why? Because he's entertaining. Because he comes to win. All right? That's what he does. They don't just cut guys like he thinks they're just going to cut him. Oh, what? He takes a string of losses. Once again, that's not the culture. There are many fighters that are champions in the UFC have taken losses, and they come back and fight. And actually, they come back and have fights more in the promotion. They also have fighters that have rematches, right? You look at Israel. What did he have? He had 2 fights versus Pereira. He had an opportunity to have a third. He could have. Pereira went up in weight. But if Pereira would have stayed there, for sure, he would have had a third fight versus Israel. And they were actually talking about them having a third fight at the higher weight. If it was boxing, you never would have seen that. We rarely see rematches in boxing, and we rarely see guys having trilogies. It doesn't really happen anymore. They're always the fighter is allowed to duck. So you look at a guy like Floyd. He had 1 fight versus Manny, right? A guy he ducked forever. He had 1 fight. If this was the UFC, he would have not only fought the guy in his prime, but he would have fought him probably 2 or 3 times, right? It would have been this whole thing where Floyd's like, oh, that was a hard fight. Even though the guy's old as fuck. You know, Manny was old as fuck. Manny wanted a rematch. What did Floyd do? Fuck no. I'm going to fight Berto and retire. That's what he did. He wasted everybody's fucking time, and boxing does not need that anymore. We don't need any more Floyds, any more Shakurs, none of it. And this thing here is going to bring back the excitement into the sport, and it's going to weed out the cowards.
There's nothing to be built. You sort of may be used up already, even if you may not be used up. Sometimes they may not want to market you that way.
Again, the MMA, if you're going to go by the UFC, it's based on entertainment and courage and just the guy who comes in to actually win. They don't throw you away if you're coming there to win, unless you're a fucking bum and you want to win by hump, hold you up in the cage, hump all day long. If you're boring as fuck and you're not coming to actually finish the guy, they may actually cut you. That's what they do. Like I said, in this new promotion, for sure, if you had a Shakur in there, they're going to cut him, regardless if he wins or not. He doesn't put asses in seats. He's fucking boring. The people that pretend to like fighters like Shakur actually don't like him. Just like they didn't like Floyd. They ain't going back and watching that guy fight because those fights were not exciting. They were garbage. And then people will come out and say, oh, well, they were you're saying they're garbage because he made it look easy. No, he made it look easy. No, he didn't make it look easy. He made it look boring because all he did was tap and grab, tap and grab, tap and grab, tap and grab. You didn't even let the guy let a punch go because he's too busy grabbing him. In real boxing, he would have been DQ'd. That's what guys like Shakur and Floyd would be. Mostly Floyd. Shakur would be DQ'd as well because he likes to hold. He likes the low blow. I mean, he would be told, hey, you got to let go some real punches, right? He'd be losing fights because, he's not throwing actual punches. He's tapping you. But when it comes to a guy like Floyd who's just excessively grabbing you nonstop, he would be DQ'd in this sport, and most likely he would be cut at some point. And again, for the billionth time, I welcome it. I welcome it. This sport is not going in a good direction. Boxing has been going in a very bad direction for a few decades now. And it's only gotten worse. After the Floyd generation, we got like 20 more Floyds. And that's why you look at these different weight classes, and everyone's just ducking. Everyone's a ducker now. It's like honorable to be a ducker in boxing nowadays.
there's a lot of risk here for just a little more money as a prospect. When you get to the high levels, I don't know if the minimums that they're showing, which is like at the high level 750,000, I don't know if that is guaranteed or just a minimum. I don't know.
They literally laid it out as the minimum, so it is the minimum. That is the lowest amount of money they'll get.
What the information I'm given. If it's a minimum and then there's a fair market value according to the opposition, the level of star, and the level of show that it is, the level of
exactly. That's most likely what it will be. It'll be based on the level of the fighter you're fighting. So if it's a high level guy, you'll probably get some more. You'll probably get pay-per-view points. That whole thing.
Pay-per-view that it might be, and you're have that ability to negotiate higher plus points. Okay, it's different. But then if it's the UFC model, which we got a UFC guy in Dana White, it may be that's what you're getting, maybe plus a point or two on pay-per-views. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it.
Well, think about it. Marcos Maidana, I said this in our other video, Marcos Maidana made $1 million in that first Floyd fight, and he had to take all kinds of compromises. They compromised the fuck out of him, and he only made $1 million. You look at a guy like Stipe, he came out, John Jones wore the same gloves. Stipe came off the couch, he made over $3 million. You look at Gaethje, he fought the other night, he made over $2 million. There was no compromise. He just came in the ring versus a fighter who wore gloves, who got the same blood testing, all that. There was no weight draining where the other fucking fighter dictates what the other fighter does. No, it was all fair. What happened to the guy that Gaethje fought is the same thing that happened to Gaethje. There's none of this favoritism bullshit, right? They just went in there and Gaethje made himself a good amount of money. He wasn't even fighting the highest level guy, but he was paid more than most boxers.
Saw Francis Ngannou in his last UFC event. They were talking about before he did the boxing. He was making $600,000 plus pay-per-view points.
This guy didn't see Francis Ngannou's contract, so he can't really say that, but I would put money that Ngannou probably made a few mil. Ngannou just wanted boxer money. He wanted Floyd Mayweather money, right? That's what happened there. And what they don't understand, and what Francis doesn't understand, maybe, is that they put him in there as a sacrificial lamb. He was there to just get knocked the fuck out, probably to undermine MMA. That's probably why that happened. And what happened is that Tyson Fury's trash, and he looked like garbage because he was always overrated. That's why he didn't lay that guy out.
That's as a main event, as a heavyweight champion, as a main event. So if this is the same model, and what is allegedly on this contract is $750,000, that may be what you're getting, plus maybe some points. And if you're that level of star, you may be able to deserve more money, but it may not even be negotiable.
Okay, I'm going to get out of this. It doesn't matter. The thing is, they're bringing over the UFC model. If the UFC model, the guys at the top in the UFC make millions of dollars. That's it. And if you go and you have, like what they're setting it up as, is you're going to make hundreds of thousands. If not, probably by the end of the year, you have 4 fights. If you're getting up there in ranks, you're going to make a good amount of money. You're going to make enough to maintain a household and buy a house and all that stuff. You could pay for a fucking house off of the money you make for this and make yourself a very good living. Okay? Can't say the same for a lot of boxers. The guys are making $1,000, $4,000 a fight. Dudes are not very active, most of them. You know? There's decent pay here. Hopefully they're not going to really bring the prima donnas in here, I said before. They will bring them, but they're going to make less. They ain't making $400 million. That makes no sense. A guy, and also you got a guy in Canelo, like a Canelo, who makes $400 million and literally cherry picks every single fighter he has. Shame on you, Turkey, for allowing that guy to do that to you. You should have just let him rot where he was. Why are you going to bring that fuck on and overpay him like that? That's fucking disgusting. You ain't bringing back boxing in a big way doing stuff like that. You know that? You're really not. You're just helping out. You know how they say in the zoo, they say don't feed the birds, right? Well, don't feed the fucking Canelos either, people. Turkey, you shouldn't have fed the Canelo. Just let him stay where he is. You should have given that big money to Benavidez. Give him some money. Toss him some money and then have him fight Bivol or whatever. That's more what we want to see anyway. You're going to bring Canelo in there. Give him. But my guess is that he's going to try to make Benavidez come down and wait to fight this little bitch. And I hope he doesn't do it. All right, give me 1 second. This has more to... This is the story I have here. This is about the salaries. They weren't the salaries. Turkey came out. He said those are not the salaries. That leak isn't even real. Okay. Okay, I got 2 stories here. This talks about the structure. It's not real. This was put out. Supposedly the leak isn't real. Whatever. Okay. just going through some of my files here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we got a video here from Dana White. He's going to talk a little bit about the organization, the promotion that he's putting together, that everyone's crying about, mostly Paulie Malignaggi. We've gone over this. We're going to...
What's up, Chuck GPT?
1 second. Sorry, people. There's an advertisement playing.
What up, Chuck? What do you think about this parlay? It's great, but why don't you use me for something you really need help with?
1 second.
Like pronouncing
That
alma-
shit is making me watch this advertisement. 1 second. Oh, this is so annoying. Okay, it's making me watch this entire fucking ad. Okay. 1 second, I gotta put the audio on.
What'd you think of the knockout, brother?
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Dana, what's the biggest thing you want to fix in boxing? What's the biggest problem when it's fixed?
Where do you begin? Probably, you know, the best fighting the best. Start there.
And what about moving up in division?
It should be the best fighting the best at their best. Because what we see right now when it comes to... I always go back to Floyd because, again, we're coming to the end of his era, his garbage era, which really was Manny Pacquiao's era. But he didn't get the respect because, you know, the media machine. He didn't fight the best at their best, period.
This is for Terrence Crawford and Canelo. Are you concerned about that? I know you're not a big fan of fighters moving up.
I don't know. I mean, these are two guys that have accomplished a lot. You know, it's one of what you would call a super fight. And I do super fights, so.
Who do you feel wins?
I don't know. I don't know.
Will you be at attendance? Will you be there?
Probably. More than likely.
I think he knows who wins. He just doesn't want to say because he's now got a contract with Turkey Out Chicken. I think he probably knows that Canelo's going to win that garbage fight.
Yes.
Dana, is that going to be your first fight with TKO? There's a lot of rumors. Turkey said the other day that could potentially be the first one.
What?
Crawford versus Canelo.
Well, listen, my model is way different. Turkey has things that he's obligated to over the next 18 months. I want to break the sport down and build it from the ground up like we did the UFC. So I'm on a different path.
What's something that would surprise the boxing fans with this new deal? You're coming in hot. Turkey says he wants to crush the competition. How do you approach this? Are you going to be working with those guys, the other promoters, Oscar De La Hoya's, Eddie Hearns?
I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to play out. We'll see. I don't know.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos.
All right, so there you go. He wants to break it all down and build it back up. That's what it needs. It needs to be broken down. It's a sport in the decline. In order to build it back up, where really he's not going to tell people, but the way to build it back up is to get these prima donnas where there's no more special fighters anymore. Yes, there's guys in the top ranks. They get paid pretty well, but you don't give them these giant bloated paydays. And when they come in and you try to dictate everything in the sport, you can their ass. Really. But maybe you don't can them. Maybe you hold on to them and strangle them out. I would do that. What's wrong with that? Look, they're trying to destroy the sport. It's very fragmented. It's extremely fragmented. So if you allow these kind of snakes to wiggle out, they're just going to jump to another promotion, and that's going to basically start taking attention away from your promotion, right? You got these guys under contract. They built themselves up on your back in your promotion. Then they're going to go wiggle away to another one and get paid these ridiculous sums of money, and then get built up by another promotion after you built them up, and they get built up to be more than what they are because now they're fighting cherry-picked fights, right? Cherry-picked fights. And they're getting all this money. So it just allows these fucking little cowardly fighters to just leapfrog all around. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So really, in order to get a hold of this sport, you gotta get it where these guys can't basically be bigger than the sport. You know, you can't do that. It's not good. People don't get it. Like, boxing is really fucked up. It's in a really bad place. It's been in a bad place for a long, long time. Now, I see people crying about these paydays, but people, look, Turkey giving this guy $400 million, that's not sustainable. That's the disgusting amount of money. No fighter should be making that kind of money. They'll say, well, it's his value. His value ain't at $400 million, people. It ain't. He fought this guy Ryder. From what I heard, they got 300,000 buys. You think that's hundreds of millions of dollars? No, it isn't. That Canelo ain't worth that amount of money. I don't know what the fuck he's thinking giving him that amount of money. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Maybe in combination when he's had some super fights, maybe I'll make that money. But you know what's going to happen? Turkey's going to lose money. He's going to lose money on this guy. I don't know what he's thinking. Right? Maybe he's gonna have some fights in some kind of big ass stadiums, and then the guy's gonna lose loads of money. He lost money on the last Crescendo, and that was a stacked card. You think you add this ginger cornball to there, and he fights a bum that's gonna rake in the money? No, it's not. So, but what he's doing is that he's gonna basically lose money on this. So what's the fucking point? The best thing he could have done, Turkey. If you want to be a little, if he wants to be a little hard on this guy, doesn't want to fight actual real competition, you definitely don't make a contract with a guy like this and then allow him to cherry pick. You say, oh, well, you're going to fight all the top guys at 168. And I'd put money if he did that, Canelo would say, fuck no, I'm not fighting on I don't give a shit. I'm not fighting for your promotion. Or I don't care to fight in this promotion. He would do that because he wants to cherry pick. I don't get it. I don't know why he gave this guy all this fucking money. It makes no damn sense. What's up, Fight Sports? All right, so we got Khalif over here. Just going to look at this for a minute. It's not very important. I'm only bringing it up because now they want this Khalif person this Khalif troll is talking about fighting at the 2028 Olympics. Let me cut this out. This is on BoxRec. This dude over here. You're going to look at this dude's record. This guy doesn't have... Wait, this guy has a pro fight? I have no idea about that. I didn't know he had a pro fight. Anyway, I was looking at this person's record. It's kind of funny because the early fights that this person had, this guy, it is a guy. There's no doubt about it. They want to pretend this is a woman. This guy over here got paired up with much harder fights in the beginning of his career. His amateur career, because this fuck doesn't even want to go pro, really. He only has one pro fight. They paired up this person with all kinds of bums. If you go and you look at the fights that he had recently, they paired him up soft. And the early fights, he actually had much harder fights. Much better opposition. I guess if you can call it hard opposition. That's why this person has 9 losses. 46 wins. These are amateur record. These aren't like nothing special. One pro fight, probably versus a woman, obviously, right? You're gonna fight a woman in a, what was it? Yeah, it's probably just knocked out a woman. A woman with 4 wins and 11 losses. So they basically put a fucking bum in there with this dude. I brought it up because I just think it's comical that they're still humoring this bullshit. This is just bullshit. This is a guy. This is an actual guy. People want to lie all day. The media wants to lie. This person was actually a medical professional, went over this and investigated what kind of knickknacks this person got in their body, and they got a couple of ones that belong to men. The blood work was done, everything. It's a dude. It's a dude. It's got a wiener, and it's got testicles. I think that counts as being a dude. Just saying, call me old-fashioned, but that's a dude. Okay. We're going to look at a video about this person in a second. 1 second, please. But before we watch that little bit about Khalif, we're going to watch Terrence Crawford tell us his dream team. We're going to see if that dream team is racist, is like a hint of racism within that dream team. All right, so this guy's going to ask Terrence Crawford to build his dream team. Boxing dream team. I can't hear shit. Where the fuck is the audio?
Say boxing dream team. 5 weight classes. Okay. 135. Could be all time.
135?
Obviously, they have to be American.
Mayweather.
Floyd at 135 was a beast. 147.
Is this without me?
You can put yourself in it.
I'm going to pick Terrence Crawford at 147.
What do you know about Terrence Crawford?
Man, he's the best.
Beast.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's 135. He's going to put Floyd Mayweather instead of a guy like a Lomachenko? Really? Why would you put Floyd in there? What's so good about him?
That's right.
8 knockouts
Yeah.
in a row.
That's right. That's right.
Undisputed.
That's right.
Crawl bum at 147. That's pretty cheesy. I put money. There's lots of guys at 147 that would have laid this bum out. That's pretty cheesy. He's very full of himself, isn't he?
Middleweight.
Hagler.
Yes, that's
I'm
the
gonna go
correct
Hagler.
answer. 175.
I'm gonna go Andre Ward.
Okay, I like that. And then
He was a great ball puncher, wasn't he? Very good at punching dicks.
heavyweight.
Man,
He liked to put his hands on dicks. Just got to say it.
man.
Some great American heavyweights.
Gotta go.
Wait, I got to go with a black one. Wait, did I get any black fighters in here yet? Oh, yeah, let me get another black one.
Ali. We go Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson, my dream team, Jack Johnson. Look at those big-ass gloves on Jack Johnson. This guy doesn't know anything about boxing, does he? I'll tell you this, my dream team would not look like that. I'll tell you this, Tyson Fury would lay Jack Johnson out in 3 seconds. Okay? Tyson Fury might actually beat Ali. People wouldn't like to hear that, but come on. Ali was a punching bag. Yeah, I'd say Ali would probably knock out Tyson Fury, but Usyk would most likely knock Ali out. He would. He would lay him the fuck out. He had punching bag, people. He wasn't very good with this thing called defense.
And we go
Tyson.
Damn. Yeah, we got.
Oh, Tyson, Mike Tyson. You take Ali over Tyson, people. Sorry to say it. Not really sorry. Just on my boxing mind, watching sport for so many years. Mike Tyson would most likely knock Muhammad Ali out.
What a squad. Dream team. All right, Terrence, I'm going to have you.
And that is a terrible dream team for the most part. Ali, I'd say he's the best fighter on that list, was Muhammad Ali. Best guy. Ali would lay it. Well, obviously, he's going to lay out Floyd and those other guys. But yeah, Ali would basically, Jack Johnson. Come on. Jack Johnson. Look, Ali would knock that guy out fairly quick. What would it be, like half a round? He probably knocked Johnson out with the first punch. I just find it funny that a lot of people call people racist, yet his entire list is all black dudes. Like you don't like any other fighters? Like he's like basically scanning through his mind for black fighters. He's like, Floyd. Why? Why Floyd? He give you a good. He's not that good, people. He wasn't that good. All right, so with that said, let's look at little Jack Johnson just as a little joke here. We're going to study a little bit his greatness, his great skills for 1 second here. All right. I'm going to look at this for a minute. I mean, anybody who's new here, sorry we're a little bit mixed up today. I'm a little flustered. Just a little disorganized. We're doing a little better. Remember to subscribe to the Real Food TV if you're coming here for the first time. It really is it's very good. It's decent. It's just the best channel on the internet.
The first black and most controversial world heavyweight.
He's the first black and most controversial. Wow, they always got to go to the race or the color, huh?
Champion of all time in 1909. Many people wanted to see the Galveston Giant toppled and hoped the Michigan assassin Stanley Ketchel would be the man to do it.
Sorry, look, this guy was literally a freak show fighter.
People wanted to see the Galveston
big ass motherfucker fighting all these smaller men.
Giant toppled and hoped the Michigan assassin Stanley Ketchel would be the man to do it.
Here we go into round one.
All right, first
Johnson,
of all,
much the larger man.
Yeah, much the larger man. Yeah, it's a fucking freak show fight. So, Terrence, how are you picking this guy? This guy's a weight bully. This is probably the first example of a weight bully in boxing. He's a big-ass motherfucker fighting these little midgets.
He's 200.
And keep in mind, you know what's funny? One of these midgets actually laid this guy the fuck out. They knocked Jack Johnson out.
9 pounds to Ketchel's 160.
And look, I don't know if you guys know, but at this time, I think this was around when the Marcus of Queensberry rules came in, I think. So this guy's basically breaking the rules by wrestling his ass off. He would wrestle all the time. This guy openly talked about how he would wrestle guys to tire them out.
Weight pull for the big champion. Jack Johnson won.
Maybe this is where Floyd got his inspiration for wrestling.
Weight title in Australia 10 months before this fight.
He just ate it straight
when
right
he
in.
knocked out Tommy Burns. Since then, Johnson has defeated all heavyweight contenders.
Look at this little tiny guy fighting this little tiny man fighting this giant guy.
When Stanley Ketchel, the middleweight champion,
I just always find it funny when guys, they build up these false legends, right? I like to poke fun at that kind of stuff because we see it all the time in boxing. We see it all the fucking time. They create these fake legends. These guys that basically, and many times you see it like, look, they're going to build up Andre Ward like he's one of the greatest fighters who ever fought in boxing. Dude, he was a fucking cheater. He won a fight on low blows. He was beating guys with elbows, headbutts. Just a cheap motherfucker who got away with it because he was anointed. right? He was one of the ones they allowed to cheat.
Challenge Johnson, the whole world became interested in the outcome of this fight. 10,000 people are jammed into this arena. Many thousands more milling around outside, unable to get in. Some of these people traveled thousands of miles to get here.
Okay, so there you see a big motherfucker fighting this little midget. Jack Johnson, the midget slayer. That's one of the Terrence Crawford's guys he picked. I'd like to see the guy that laid him out. I don't know if that film is out there, but he got laid out. So his legacy really is just a lot of it's a false legacy, you know. They built them all up, but yet he did, like I said, he got laid out by one of those midgets. Oh, okay, so we got Terrence Crawford over here. He's bulking up, right?
That boy Bud playing no games with Canelo Alvarez. We just found out after a roller coaster couple of days, 72 hours, Canelo has signed a 4-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh. The plan to have Canelo fight William Skull in May and then have a fight. If he beats Skull, he will be undisputed 2X. Then have and stage a fight in Vegas with Terrence Bud Crawford.
Garbage and garbage. Garbage and then more garbage.
Terrence Crawford just posted on his social media his current weight. And you know Ego Weight Watchers had something to say. Terrence
Ego Gay Watcher
Crawford stepped on the scale and he's weighing 186.
Which is absolute bullshit. Yeah, he's look, first of all, we don't even know if he's on the scale. That fucking dude, you don't know what the hell that is. Maybe he typed that in. These idiots see some numbers on a scale and they automatically think that's his weight. We don't know if that's real. And if it is, then he's just a bloated fat fuck. Right? He's just bloated up.
Currently. And he put the shocked eye emoji.
He's just bloated. Oh, he's shocked. People, they got to build the narrative. They got to build up the fight. They're going to be building it up over months. They have to build it. I've seen some recent video of Terrence Crawford. He looks like a bloated fat guy. He looks like he's becoming Bomac, mini Bomac.
He's not playing no games with Canelo Alvarez. The fight obviously would take place at 168. Bud's a consummate professional. For more of my thoughts on the fight and more boxing, link in the bio. Check out the content.
The fight means fucking nothing. It means nothing. It's a nothing fight. It's stupid that it's even happening, that they're even sanctioning this trash. It ain't good for the sport at all. It's garbage. It's a cherry-picked trash fight. Okay? It definitely ain't going to be worth the money that they're going to charge for it. That's team stream all day, that one. It's trash. It's trash unless the card is stacked. But come on. It ain't going to be stacked. You want to know why? Because the guy who's on it, the two motherfuckers at the top of the card, are going to be Terrence Crawford, who's going to want an enormous amount of money, and then Canelo. So all the fights under. This has got to end. This whole overpaying these guys has got to end in the sport because it basically makes these cards where they're trash. We got a bunch of bum mismatches to build up some fighters, prospects. So you don't have real fights on there. And then you got the main event, which is a cherry-picked trash fight. Terrence Crawford fighting Canelo. Garbage. 147 guy fighting a fucking guy who's basically a light heavyweight. Realistically, Canelo is a light heavyweight. People want to pretend, but he fought Bivol, okay? And, I thought he knocked out Kovalev, right? I hear people all the time telling me, Canelo's not a light heavyweight. Well, if he's not a light heavyweight, then how did he knock out Kovalev in the 11th round? Are you telling me that was a fixed fight? Because that's what I believe it was. I think it was a fixed fight. I think Canelo, for the most part, is a pillow-fisted light heavyweight. That's really what he is. But Terrence Crawford, and that's not to say that he can't punch at 168, because he can. Canelo can punch at 168. And so this is one of the reasons why Crawford's going to get his ass whooped. But this is Canelo training for that P. Diddy party. He never got over it the first one. He's ready. He's ready for the second party, people. He's ready. When P. Diddy gets out, Canelo will be prepared. You got to put your head around it and boom, boom, you punch him right in the legs, right? Let's see that some more. He's getting ready for the P. Diddy party. All right, there he is, getting ready. Very good, Canelo. I think you will be able to avoid that diddler, unlike you did in the first meeting with the diddler. He's still trying to get over that. He's getting prepared. So we have the Canelo versus Crawford fight coming up in a couple of months. Not too excited about it, but we have some training videos of Canelo. We're going to look at a little bit of a training video of him. Got him paired up next to Crawford, training with his trainer, Fat Mac. Let's watch this. Nothing that Crawford is doing here is going to hurt. Is going to help him versus Canelo. Nothing. Not a single thing he's doing here is going to help him versus Canelo. Now he'll throw a blitz like that. None of this means anything. None of it. The only way he can possibly even get anywhere near maybe beating Canelo is to be active on his feet, moving away, and maybe pot shotting him and all that stuff, which probably wouldn't work. It still wouldn't work. He's not strong enough. Canelo will have no respect for this man. He's going to walk him down. He's going to bust him up and make him quit, most likely. This is going to be an extremely easy fight for him. People will go for months and months and months being brainwashed by this to think this guy has a possibility of winning, but he doesn't, because Canelo is not only bigger than Crawford, but he's better than him, and he always has been. Crawford has never displayed anything close to what Canelo's shown. You imagine Canelo fighting even a guy like a Lara. He could never even beat Lara. Lara would wipe the floor with Crawford. He would wipe the fucking floor with him. All the guys that Canelo's fought, many of the guys he fought would wipe the floor with Crawford. Guys like Miguel Cotto, even the old Miguel Cotto, would knock Crawford out. He would knock him out. Okay? Triple G would knock Crawford the fuck out. That's a second round knockout, probably. Right? You fight. There's so many guys this guy fought that would probably most likely beat Crawford. Even a guy like a John Ryder would probably knock Crawford out. Munguia would knock Crawford out. Berlanga would knock Crawford out. Look how small this fucking guy looks. He's wearing these tiny, tight sweatpants. Those sweatpants aren't very big. It looks like he got at the most a medium pair of sweatpants there. Look how fucking baggy they are. Fucking guy doesn't even have legs. Right? Look at Canelo's shorts. This shits look super tight. If you probably put those in Crawford, they'd probably be baggy. This guy, he's throwing punches with a cell phone in his fucking hand. Can you not, train without a cell phone in your hand, bro? What is he doing, texting while punching? Now look at the way Canelo trains. I actually do similar training to that, but that gives you some more, that's it for your explosive movements. You're throwing these hooks. He just throws a bunch of them. He does a bunch of slips and then he punches. It's just slip and punch. That's what he's training for. This is one of the reasons why he can throw such an explosive uppercut. I just slip and punch. Look how slow Crawford trains. Fucking slow as hell. Hand speed slow. Everything's slow. Look at the way he throws this left uppercut, left hook. That's one of Canelo's best punches. I don't know what it is. He just has more snap on that left hand than he does on his right. He puts his left hook is so much better than his right. Like just the way that you see him put his weight into it like that. He snaps it from his knee. Like he throws Canelo's left hook is better than it. His left hand is better than his right hand. That's a nice combination too. That's one he'll definitely probably use on Crawford, because Crawford doesn't have very good defense, but he is very susceptible to left hands, and that shot is there to drive him into his right straight. He'll probably be dropping Crawford with that one. I don't even think Crawford will be able to catch those shots on his shoulders, anywhere on his body. Crawford's going to he's going to have to be out of range of even being hit. And I'm not saying hit on the face. I'm saying hit, period. He cannot afford to be hit on even on his arms by this guy. This man is bigger than him. He's bigger than him. And Crawford ain't no slick, he ain't a slick fighter. He never has been. He ain't no slick boxer. I mean, look at Crawford, people. He's old. Look at his hairline. That shit's all the way almost in the middle of his head. So there you go. That's amazing, right? That really shows. I mean, Canelo's training, what I see there, is definitely better than what Crawford's doing. We're going to bounce around, people. Sorry, we're kind of random. We got just doing some random stories around the web and it is around the web, but it's more up-and-coming boxing fights. So, Parker versus Usyk has been ordered by the... Let me see, I've got to move my screen. I can actually read this. Okay, so it's been ordered by... I'm going to see which sanctioning body has sanctioned this. It is the WBO they've ordered Parker versus Usyk. That's a pretty good fight. I'd like to see that. I think I'd rather actually see that over Dubois quitting again, right? Over Dubois fighting Usyk again and then quitting. Because that's probably what would happen. This guy, that is one of the first cases of a sanctioning body, I think, doing the right thing, because I think in many ways Dubois ducked Parker. That's what he did. He ducked his ass. He didn't want to fight him because he didn't have a reason to fight him, right? He already had 2 super fights lined up. He already had it lined up. He had come off of 2 wins, right? And one of them an impressive knockout win versus AJ. So why would he go and fight Parker and risk those 2 super fights? Him versus AJ. Or maybe not super fights, but big paydays. He had AJ fight and he had an Usyk fight. So why risk it versus Parker? That's probably what his people thought. So maybe in some ways what they did is they did a bait and switch to still build up Turkey's card. And at the last minute, they got out of there. And then Parker had to fight the guy who fought Bakoli or whatever, which was a risky fight for Parker. So respect to him, right? You get some respect there. I got a video here. It's Jim Lampley talking about Shakur. It's garbage. I put that in there. I'm going to get rid of it. It's garbage because he talks about basically it was before the Tank Davis fight. Not Tank Davis. What the hell am I talking about? It was it was before the Tank Davis fight. It was before the Roach fight. So now Jim Lampley's changed his mind. Before the Roach fight happened, Jim Lampley was saying that Tank Davis would beat Shakur. Then Tank has a fight versus Roach, who's arguably better than Shakur. And now Jim Lampley thinks that Shakur will beat Tank. Yeah, totally. I think the complete opposite of that. I think Tank will beat Shakur fairly easily. Here's another bit of info from Conor McGregor. More bullshit. Make Ireland great again. This is the big scam here with Conor McGregor. Perfect to become a president of Ireland, right? The guy's multiple rapes. Supposedly the guy's getting sued for multiple rapes. I don't know if it's true, if he really did it, but I tend to lean towards he probably did do it. Because a lot of these guys get on this little power trip and they think they can do whatever the fuck they want. In many ways, many of them are very demonic. I mean, they're used to having thousands of people in the crowd cheering at them. But I think it's really funny that they have a guy like this coming in to be president. My guess is that he'll run as a conservative, right? That's the whole thing. Even though he's a total degenerate, he'll probably run as a conservative, most likely to discredit the Conservative Party in Ireland. Probably what they do, because what I've been saying in our other show, our news show, is that the number one enemy to these powerful globalists is the conservatives. They are actually a threat to their power. So that's the group they want to weaponize the most, right? So that's why you'll see all over the world, it'll be the conservative who's posed as a racist, bigot, evil person who hates transgenders and blah, 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 who hates all the little sad, tortured, the weak, the conservative. He's just evil and he's trying to go after all the weaker targets, right? At least that's what they'll tell you. And so Conor McGregor, a guy who's basically a disgraced person, they want to put him up in that conservative seat. That's my guess. And this is the reason why he poses up with Donald Trump. And also you'll see Conor McGregor kind of like pushing these ideas, a xenophobic kind of ideas, right? Oh, push out the immigrants. Tell you to, they're just the usual talking points that you have out of the right wing, globalist, fake right wing, worrying about immigrants and all that. The reality is, yes, it's not good to overflow a country with immigrants, but it's also really bad to replace most jobs with automation, and that's really what they're doing. They're trying to replace most of these jobs with automation. All right? Okay, so give me 1 second. I'm going to look at our next bit of whatever info we got here. We got, going back to the whole dude, subversion agent over here, who's a guy who's trying to pretend he's a woman. So over here, this person talking about fighting at the Olympics, Olympic gold, won it from a woman. I think won it from a woman, right? Or won it from another dude, possibly. So this is talking about this person wants to fight in the Olympics. I think it's happening in California in the year 2028. So I guess the government's going to be pushing more of this, this kind of distraction, this red herring where they talk about trannies and, tell you, oh, it's a guy, it's not a guy, it's a guy, it's not a guy, right? Okay, we're going to see a little bit of this video. See what they got here. Hopefully it's not just subtitles. All right, so this dude over here wants to fight. I want to hear if there's any words being said here. So basically, this is a red herring. You got Donald Trump. The person says they're not going to be intimidated. They're not going to be intimidated. Bro, what you're doing is you're disrespecting the sport. Why don't you go? And I don't understand how this bitch has a pro fight but can still fight in the Olympics. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought once you had a pro fight, you couldn't fight in the Olympics. Because the Olympics, in some ways, is it not like sort of in a way like an amateur fight? A lot of times they wear headgear. I don't know if they always wear headgear, but I don't know. I wanted to show you guys a news article. I had a news article where the reporter straight up tells you what they did when they tested this person. 1 second. We're going to be kind of all over the place. This is Kambosos is talking about his next fight. He says it ends here. He's fighting some guy named Wiley. No one knows who the fuck this guy is. I don't know who he is. I saw some of his fights. Didn't care too much for him. Just Kambosos having a little soft touch there. Maybe he wants to pretend. Maybe he wants to pretend that he's having tough fights, like he wanted a tough fight. But I tend to lean towards he didn't want a tough fight. He just wanted a little tune-up. We got Fundora. He still wants the Spence and Crawford fights. Problem is that those guys most likely won't fight him because he'll probably beat them. I think that's what's going on. Crawford ain't ever fighting Fundora. Maybe if Fundora had if he was worth more money, then maybe Crawford would step up. But now you're not going to do that. He's trying to get this little corny Canelo fight that's been built up by
Meet the future of fast.
Been built up by Turkey Yellow Chicken. I don't know how Crawford gets so many favors. Makes me think he's selling parts of his body. Most likely his backside. I mean, why does the guy get so much damn special treatment? The guy's never been a pay-per-view star, ever. It's never been a thing. So how is he getting all the special treatment? It just boggles the mind. And for some weird reason, he's Eminem's favorite fighter. I wonder why. Eminem doesn't, never really seen him with women, have you? I mean, not trying to hate him for that, it's just, that's what he's into, That's just his thing, he's Joe Biden would really like, he would really like Terrence Crawford, I think. He would definitely help him out. He might actually be a transsexual woman of color. Minus the transsexual part. Maybe the gay person of color. Okay. All right, so that's just what he is, people. That's just what he is. It's all right. It's what he is. All right, so we got a little story. They're going to talk about Khalif Aman. I think it's like Aman. All right, let's hear this.
To the Olympics when there was a boxer by the name of Iman Khalif, who we were told was...
Iman, they should get rid of the E part. Wait, they should say Aman. Aman.
Apparently a woman competing in the women's boxing went on to win gold. There were other women competing against Khalif who said, I do not like this. Look,
if boxing wasn't already a fucking laughing stock, they had to do this, which made it even more of a joke. They sanctioned a man to fight with women for Olympic gold. Talk about taking a shit on the Olympics and boxing.
competitor from memory pulled out 40 seconds into a bout because, of course, there was a cloud over whether Khalif was actually a man or a woman, because the international body that looks after boxing
I tell you, people, this is just a distraction. It's just a distraction. It doesn't mean much. But I'm just showing it because they cleared it up. They cleared it up that they had done tests on this man. It is a man. I don't care what the person thinks it is. I understand there's crazy people in the world, and that's okay. I love crazy people just the same as non-crazy people. But this person, this is a sport. And you cannot have men fighting women. That is wrong. Okay? And so they allowed this man to fight a woman. But what I'm seeing, I've been reading some articles about this lately. They're actually still calling this person a woman. When this person biologically, I'm not even going to say biologically, this person just straight up is a dude. It's a guy.
Run genetic tests and said that Khalif had male chromosomes, i.e.
person has male chromosomes and male parts.
He was a male. And would you believe it, this has been vindicated. Now remember,
I'm showing this because there's a lot of outlets out there that are still saying this is a woman, and they want to call people bigots for pointing out the fact that it's been proven that this is a man. You literally look at this person and you say, when you see this person, you automatically know without words that is a man. We know this. Biologically, humans know this. Why? Because humans mate. So they need to know what a mating partner looks like. So we know this at our core without using a single word. We could literally not know words and we would know that's a man. A child, a newborn baby would look at Khalif and say that's a woman. Not a woman. I fucked that up. A newborn child who's learned no words would look at Khalif and know that is a man.
The International Olympic Committee refused to do any tests of their own and questioned the validity of the tests that had previously been done. Well, this report comes via Piers Morgan. He says a shocking medical report about Khalif, drafted in 2023 between hospitals in France and Algeria, was leaked to a French journalist and confirms the boxer has a disorder of sexual development, which means he has male chromosomes and some male sexual organs, including internal testicles. And
okay. Let's hear that again, because the way they wrote that was kind of funny.
Male chromosomes and some male sexual leaked to a French journalist and confirms the boxer has a disorder of sexual development, which means he has male chromosomes and some male sexual organs, including...
They said some male organs. It has all male organs, all of them. The penis and the balls, both of them. It has all the male organs, and it has none of the female ones. That person doesn't have breasts, doesn't have a vagina, has none of it. No uterus.
Internal testicles and a quote-unquote micro-penis, but no female uterus. So, for all intents and purposes, Khalif is a male, and therefore...
Male chromosomes, a wiener and some nuts, I'd say that's a man. The body is of a man. The look at the face, it's a dude. Straight up dude, 100% dude should not be fighting women, period. Period.
Should not be competing in women's boxing. Now, the IOC, and we talked about this extensively at the time, just dismissed this out of hand and said there was no case to answer.
Maybe
here.
I guess they changed the rules of boxing now. Men can fight women. Is that a new thing? I didn't know about that.
They refused to do any testing of their own. They didn't care whether it could have been a case of transgenderism or intersex or whatever. They just said, this is not a problem. Well, the actual report by a hospital, this is not some hokey stuff, has been leaked to a journalist and shows that Khalif has male chromosomes. The IOC ought to apologise to every other woman who competed in the female boxing. We got it wrong, but we're not going to hear that from them, are we?
Yeah, what are the chances that we'll get any admission that they got it wrong, let alone an apology?
I mean, I said it many times on our other show. It's called CW News. They do this stuff on purpose in order to muddy the waters, right? To kind of get people talking about these meaningless things. I mean, it's not completely meaningless. Obviously, if you're a boxer, if you're a boxer, you should care about this. You really should, because you worked your whole career. You worked a big portion of your life to win these titles and all that. And now you're fighting a man. Why are you fighting a man? That's not right. I mean, that's not the way the sport was supposed to be. You weren't supposed to be going against men. it's separated by the sexes, right? Just don't think it's that fair, but it's just the way it is. It's what's going on in the world today. It's just a lot of they're doing stuff like this in order to kind of get people distracted from actual meaningful topics. But I mean, this is just spitting in the face of the sport for real, especially on women. This is a real disrespect to women's sports. But just putting it out there, Khalif is a dude. So I'm talking about this because the other day I saw some article saying that talking about how this person wants to fight in the 2028 Olympics. And fight women at the 2028 Olympics. I'm just thinking, like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you're almost, not only are you a dude, but you're also almost like 30 years old. Or I think this guy is 30. So why aren't you going pro? But I guess that's the nature of this person. This person most likely is a fucking troll. Probably a government guy, right? Probably works for government. It's a bunch of bullshit. That person literally is a troll. I think that's how they're employed to be a troll. Okay? All right, so over here we got the Tank Davis rematch. It looks like the Tank Davis Roach fight is coming up. It's going to be the next fight. Controversy follows. Gervonta Davis over his fight with Lamont Roach. Is a rematch coming? It looks like the rematch is going to come. You're going to double dip on that. Yeah, he took a knee. Just to be honest, the shit looked kind of like it's staged in order to build. I mean, in order to build this rematch. I don't know if you guys know it, but Tank Davis and this Roach guy are friends. They've known each other for a long time. They have a lot of respect there.
Ever wondered?
Maybe he wanted to make some money for his little buddy there. Hopefully it's a good fight, but whatever. I'd definitely rather see that than see Tank fight Shakur. Because I think Shakur versus Tank will be an absolute piece of shit. All right, so we're going to watch a little bit more Conor McGregor. He's over here, trying to build himself up. Got a media and all these different media stunts with this guy trying to build up his run for president of Ireland. They'll probably give it to him because I mean most of these governments nowadays these are just facades anyway. This guy's like Trump and Trudeau. These are most likely the way I'm pretty sure they are. People have known this for a long time. They're what you call they're propped up. They're fake. They're like I said, they're facades. They're fake. They're fake leaders.
President, what did you say? Had a great meeting with him. He's a great man. I told him his work rate is outstanding, and I wish him all the best.
Conor, the Taoiseach says you don't.
I told you I've been discredited, and I'm called a rapist. I will run for office as a conservative, like Trump, in order to discredit him. I am a rapist, and now I'm xenophobic. They'll probably start saying weird things, and they'll say he's a Nazi. And that's probably the next thing. I wouldn't be shocked if this guy runs for president. They make him fake win. And then he's all like, oh, my conservative brothers. And then he does a Nazi salute. And he says, that was the Roman salute. I'm not a Nazi.
Speak for the people of Ireland. Your response to that?
I am an employer of over 200 people, almost 300 people in the country of Ireland. He's an employer of none. Every available metric available to us has shown that the government of Ireland currently has failed the people of Ireland. In 10 years, Dublin city centre has gone from one of the most safest cities in Europe to one of the most dangerous. So shame on him for saying that, speaking down on an Irishman. I won't speak about him personally. Throw a jab, I could throw many jabs at them. I could throw jabs handily at them. However, I speak on the metrics, and the metrics show they've failed the people of Ireland. They do not represent the people of Ireland.
Conor,
and I'm
what
here.
Do you say to people who feel it's inappropriate for you to be here, given...
God bless Ireland, God bless America.
Yep, God bless Ireland, God bless America. This is more of the government stuff.
Well, I do.
They gotta get a disgraced fighter to represent America. The country that they're now trying to paint to the world powers as being a racist, evil country, right? Oh, we got Donald Trump over here. He's going to build up that disgraced fighter that they are now building up as a xenophobe.
I do happen to like he's
All right, give me 1 second.
He's got the best tattoos I've ever seen. I don't know if I'm a big, but Conor's great, right? Talking about Conor, but you have a lot of great Irish fighters, actually, great fighters. I don't know what that is, but Ireland's always had a lot of good fighters. You know why? Because they're tough people. They're smart people and they're passionate people. And they really have been over the years. Well, I do happen to like your fight.
All right, so he's building up this guy. This is always what happens. This is how these governments paint the Conservative Party. Trump over here with once again with a disgraced fighter who's now he's been disgraced, people. He's being accused for multiple rapes. Now he's painting himself in some ways they're painting him as a xenophobe. He's helping them do that. This is always what happens. Don't be shocked in a few months when they say this guy is doing Nazi salutes and all this other BS. It's the same with that guy, Bryce Mitchell, I think his name is. The guy comes out, he says he would go fishing with Hitler. These guys are most likely are government people. This stuff is done to discredit the party that they fear the most. That party is always put in the crosshairs, always painted as something evil. It's called weaponization. It's a weaponization of that group. I'm putting this in here because this is part of the world of sports in a lot of ways. This guy, Conor McGregor, he went from being a loved fighter to being what he called himself, which was notorious, right? He's become kind of like the enemy of the people, but he's so well known. I think in many ways his followers were probably maybe a lot of lefties, possibly a lot of liberals, because he lived a liberal, degenerate life, right? That's what he lives. And he still does in a lot of ways. I mean, the guy literally sold alcohol. That's what he does. And he was out there doing crepes, right? Creping women, supposedly, from what I heard. Now he's over here hanging out with conservative, right? They're all conservatives. One guy is supposedly at Epstein's Island. The other guy is in clubs doing things to women, violating them. That's true or not, I don't know. Yeah, he's going to court for it. But look, he's going to get, let me guess, he's on the I'm going to make a wild guess and say he's on the conservative ticket. Because that is their goal, is always to discredit the conservative, to weaponize them. And like I said, this guy right now, Conor McGregor, he's being painted as a xenophobe and a racist in a lot of ways. I'll show you that in a second. So again, it's just like the guy Bryce Mitchell comes out there. He talks about he wants to go fishing with Hitler. This is after he says these comments about Elon Musk. Maybe he had to take a knee, right? He had to take a knee for the powers. So you got Oliveira over here, says he wants to fight Topuria. Ilya. So he says he's confident he could knock him out. All right, so he wants to fight that. That would be a good fight. I'd like to see that. Again, the top guys in the UFCs do fight.
If every time you see an ad...
Got another training video. We're going to watch one more training video before we get out of here. Sorry, the show's been kind of all over the place today, people. But I have another clip over here just to cap off this whole thing with Conor McGregor, where they're basically trying to build him up as some like racist because he said some stuff about immigrants. Okay, 1 second. Oh, I think I just showed that. It says, why no UFC stars are daring to call out Conor McGregor over Donald Trump meeting. Sorry, I didn't read this thing. There's a quote in here somewhere where they're basically talking about painting him as like a racist. All right. So I'm not going to read this whole article. I'm looking for the quote. I don't see it, but that is the intention. The intention is to paint him as some evil kind of xenophobe. He came to the White House recently and he talked about how Ireland's being overrun by immigrants, right? He said the country's basically it's being overrun. So Ireland's losing its identity, I guess, in a lot of ways. This is the same thing they're pushing all over the world. You know, they pushed this in Israel as well. I saw a documentary a few years ago where there was a Jewish man and he said that it's not good that they have all these immigrants because Israel is losing its Jewish roots, you know, maybe not roots, but it's not a Jewish state anymore. That's what he said. It's no longer a Jewish state because, there's too many non-Jews in it. So when he said that, it was okay, but anybody else says it and they are painted as a racist, right? It is Ireland, right? You would like Ireland to stay as Ireland because this is what separates the different countries, right? It's like, do you want to go and put pineapple on every kind of food, right? You have a pizza. Some people like pineapple. Some people despise it. But what if we were to take pineapple and put it on a hamburger and pineapple goes on everything? If you want to do that, that's cool. But, a lot of people like to keep a hamburger, right? Want to keep it a hamburger. And that's kind of like, the different flavors. You want to put the same flavor on everything, right? Jamaica's Jamaica. Ireland is Ireland, Puerto Rico is Puerto Rico. China is China. Japan is Japan. Keep it like that, right? When that kind of allows those areas to keep their culture. Culture is a great thing, just as long as it's not terrible. You know, if they're not pushing like a bunch of hate and all that. But and obviously China, a lot of these guys that got some shady stuff going on. But when it comes to the cuisine and the clothing, the culture, the good culture, the good parts of the culture, right? You want to kind of keep that. You don't want to just create a big old pot where everything's lost. They lose their culture. So maybe that's what he's trying to do, but he is painted as a xenophobe, and maybe that's his intention. And I tend to think it is his intention, because why do you have to get on the conservative ticket, right? It's probably to discredit them. As I said, they are the number one enemy, and I know that I mean to the global, to the power who are trying to basically take up all the control. This is usually this is kind of a topic for the CW News, but I just thought it was kind of appropriate looking at, more of this BS. We see it everywhere again. Conor McGregor running for president of Ireland. Running on the xenophobic ticket, right? It's kind of weird, but we're not going to go out on that. We're going to watch a video here. Canelo Alvarez training. Just one last thing before we get out of here, because I have been running on for a little while. Give me 1 second. 1 second.
You just want to...
I'm going to show a little bit of the training, of Canelo's training. A little more. We saw a little earlier. It wasn't very good. This is a little better, I think, than his other video. Turn the audio on in here. It's not too bad. Repetition is very good. And he's teaching a repetition while blocking. So he'll throw this right hand, left hand, and then block real quickly. Let's see it. All right, so that's a nice technique. The way he's teaching him to do that's very nice. He throws a right hand. It teaches him to tuck, or teaches him to block correctly. So he throws a right hand, block the follow-up, then he comes back with a left hand. Actually, he comes back with the right and then the left. Canelo gets drained out a little quick, but I don't know how long he's been training here, but this is not bad training. I mean, he's ducking. He would be ducking into an uppercut if the guy actually saw it, but he's not going to be throwing this technique continuously like this. This is just to kind of tighten up that technique. It's like a pull. I saw this video earlier. I'm not too big on the way he does this. I think he's trying to make them do a pull. So doing a right, left, and then they kind of pull and come back with a straight right. And he's doing a right, left. That's not much of a pull the way he's doing that. His hands are too low, I think. He's not doing a good job with that little pool noodle. He's not really shooting it towards him. He should really swing it towards his head. Maybe he's afraid of grazing his eye or something. In that case, maybe wear eye protection. I don't know. He should be swinging that towards his face. It's like he's swinging it towards their hand. Like, look at the way. What the fuck is he even doing with that pool noodle? All right, so the repetition is good. It is good. I like the training Reynoso does. Some of the training techniques he does, they're okay, but I don't exactly think he's the best trainer. I think Freddie Roach, not Roach. I think Freddie's a far better trainer than him, but this stuff is okay, I guess. It's better than what I see from Crawford. Crawford's training is, he looks like he trains himself. That's what it looks like to me. He's got that big fat guy who doesn't do much for him. Might be why when he goes in the ring, his techniques aren't very good. I mean, for the most part, he doesn't really throw many hard punches outside of a lead right hand, but guys' gloves have exploded many times. It's kind of questionable, that how strong he really is. We saw him in the Madrimov fight. He wasn't punching that good. But my prediction, I've made the same prediction for many, many weeks now. I think Canelo will beat Crawford fairly easy. The only thing I get out of that fight is comedy. It's going to be a comical fight just to see, the two cherry pickers go at it. But Crawford's done a lot more cherry picking than Canelo has. I'd say that. Canelo has his career, even though he did fight a lot of his best fighters he fought were at the end of their career. But he definitely does have a better resume than Terrence Crawford does, I think. The fighters they were better fighters. He fought better fighters. Just a guy like an Austin Trout and a Lara by themselves trumps whatever Crawford's done in his career. I mean, look, he fights Earl Spence. Earl Spence, for the most part, was a finished fighter. I think the best of Earl Spence was already gone when he fought Sean Porter. And I think in some ways, I think Sean Porter might have won that fight. They allowed Earl Spence to hit him low so many times, and Porter was beating the crap out of Earl Spence. And that was a prime Earl Spence. The guy that Crawford fought was Spence at the end of his career. I mean, the guy's done. He was in an auto accident, people. He was beat up. He was messed up real bad. He didn't look the same. And when he fought Crawford, he was drained and he was getting knocked down by jabs. Right? That ain't a real fight. And they put that as Crawford's greatest win. I mean, and look, you also got to remember that Earl Spence was not an A-level fighter. This guy's at best B- fighter. B-, and he's at the end of his career. They'll say, oh, he wasn't that old. Bro, he's destroyed. He was already destroyed. This is why you haven't seen Earl Spence since Crawford fought him. You haven't seen him because his career was already over. He came back for a payday. That's all it was. All right. So, I'm going to be getting out of here. Kind of a weird stream, but pretty damn amazing anyway. All right, people. I'm going to see what's going on this Saturday. I think Camboso fights. We might do a play-by-play of some of the fights. There might be some UFC shit going on as well. I'm going to check that out real quick before I get out of here to see what kind of fights are going on this weekend. Okay, we're going to check the UFC website, see if there's anything there. I think the UFC's got some stuff going on too. All right, I'm going to type that in, UFC website. I think Pettis' brother's fighting. Second. Just looking around on the UFC.com. All right, you got 42 hours till the UFC card comes on. Okay, gonna unzoom. This is way too zoomed in now. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. Something popped up over here. Gonna look at some of these fights on this card. We got Leon Edwards. That could maybe be a good fight. This is the number 5 ranked guy. Like I said, UFC guys, they fight within the top 5. I mean, that's not bad. He's number 1 contenders fighting the number 5 guy. Okay. Kevin Holland's good. This might be okay. I don't know about those ladies there. I don't know who these guys are. But I wish they would put their ranks. That would be good. Just going to slide through here, look at some of these fighters they got on here. They really should put the ranks in there. But UFC always pairs these guys in the proper ranks, most times. They don't just put like a number 100 ranked guy versus a guy who's number 1. Like they do in boxing. We got the number 1 guy going against a guy who hasn't fought in 5 years. That's Jack Johnson there, people. Jack Johnson actually fought a champion who was undefeated. He fought a guy that never lost. He pulled this guy off of the couch. I think the guy was in retirement for like 11 years or something. He pulled the fucking guy out of retirement. Right? That's some total bullshit. Terrence Crawford, that's a super team. But yeah, Cambosos is going to be fighting this weekend as well. We'll see what time that's coming on. Maybe we might do we might do a live stream of that maybe. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. It's Kambosos. I mean, not too huge into Kambosos. He's okay. But with that said, me getting out of here. I want to thank everybody that came in here and listened to me ramble. Got Mars came in here. We got El Barbarino, Fredo in here. JA005, the Barbarino, Iceman, Technique. Yeah, Mars, I said Technique, Manos. E.T., I think E.T.'s new. E.T. came in here. We got Fight Sport Talk. Thanks. I want to thank everybody that came in here. And if you guys want to support The Real Food TV, our Venmo is in the description. Anybody who's new to the channel, remember to subscribe to The Real Food TV, the greatest channel on demand. We're gonna be back real soon, people. I'm gonna be getting out of here. I really hope that boxing gets its shit together. That's why I have some hopes for this Dana White collaboration with Turkey. Because we don't need to see Berlanga go against his future self anymore. We don't want to see that. That's not a real fight. That's bullshit. Why does a guy need, how is that even a tune-up? That ain't a tune-up, people. That's a set-up fight by the promoter in order to make this guy look good so he can go then fight Caleb Plant. I think he'll probably beat Caleb Plant because Caleb Plant is a hyped-up bum. All right? But if he beats Caleb Plant in impressive fashion, knocks him out quick, that makes Canelo look real bad as well. You kind of want to do that, right? You want to look better than the supposed champion. You want to beat his opponents in more impressive fashion, but that ain't a tune-up. That's just a setup fight. That's bullshit. Boxing doesn't need that. Berlanga should have fought a contender. He should have fought a prospect, an actual guy who's, look, if he's going to fight Canelo, Berlanga's next fight should have been versus a five, the guys in the top 10. Not some guy he pulled out of his ass. Right? No, did he? Okay? But look at that guy's face. Maybe did he? I don't know. He looks pretty surprised. He looks like, what the fuck am I doing here? Why am I fighting this guy? I don't know why. Eddie Hearn's like, yes. Set up. Bullshit fight. Insulting boxing fans' intelligence. But you got a lot of supposed fans out there. They're like, Dana bad. Boxing perfect. Yes. Berlanga, fight a bum. Yes. And Eddie's like, yes. Berlanga, you fight a bum. Right? No one's satisfied with that. I'm not. That's for sure. No real boxing fans are. Got Canelo. He's like, I get $400 million. I fight Skull. Yeah. That's what people want. This fight means fucking nothing. Once again, let's hope boxing gets its shit together. There's Mortal Kombat. We're being sucked back into Mortal Kombat land. I don't know why. I got a file here I need to close. So there you go. You guys been watching Foo Sports. Foo Sports Live. It's Thursday, March 20th. I want to wish you all a good night. Everybody. Have a good one. See you later.